tomorrow for one of our favorite days, April Fool's Day. I wonder if those chairs in that conference room down the hall will be completely just moved all around the room tomorrow. What do you think the chances of that are? Shh. I know, brilliant, right? He said the one time, so he walks, so do I, during breaks, just stretch the legs. And he was saying about how he walked into that conference room, just sort of takes a loop, but it started to bother him that the chairs were not perfectly situated. Like they were just a little bit not perfectly back together. The family at the restaurant just left, and the staff isn't back yet to sort of redress the scene. So what did he say? Like he would put the chairs back, or he didn't even want to go in there anymore because the chairs weren't like properly. So I haven't told anybody this yet, but for like the last 2 months, once or twice a week, I'll just go down there and move all the chairs around. I've been a little bit wondering if welcome back. You good?
I'm shook. Shook is what I am. Do you want me to tell the whole? You've opened the door, buddy. Here it comes. So I walk around during the breaks, and we don't have the biggest office, the biggest floor, but and I could go out. I have a way to get in and out, but I do laps around our offices during the breaks, and a part of that is there's a large conference room with, 15, 16 chairs around it, big table. We have meetings in there sometimes, and that's like the end of my loop. I loop through that room or walk around the table and then come back here. And I got in the habit when I was doing this in the winter of tucking the chairs into the table, in part because I'm a lunatic and I like to have everything look symmetrical, and so I want the chairs to look. But it's also to protect myself. At 5 o'clock on a Wednesday in the winter, it's dark in there. And if I go walking through there, it's pitch dark, the shades are closed, I'm going to trip and fall on a chair that's askew. So
terrible. I've
gotten in the habit of tucking the chairs in. So, 45 minutes ago, I took this walk, and I went through that room, and I didn't have to tuck any chairs in, and it's not as big an issue now because it's light out until we're off the air.
You can see your way around.
I can see my way around if there's something in my way. But everything was neat. Like all the chairs were tucked in. It was fine. I didn't have to move anything, and I just walked through and came back. And then just now at 4:58 or whenever we went to break, I got up and walked around, did the same loop, and there were like 10 chairs as askew in there as I've ever seen. Like somebody was sitting and just pushed the chair as far and as hard as they could away from the table and left the room. 10 different people did this in that room, and there are, 8 people here right now?
I'm not sure there are that many.
I mean, you got us
there are
3.
4 of us.
There's Puckett's out there. There's Brayton out there. A couple of other dudes. Producer for Bowerly's show. There's definitely
10.
less than 10.
Okay.
What happened between 4:15 and 5 o'clock? Like, did everyone show up for a meeting and just wreck the room? I mean, wreck the room's a little strong, and then just leave?
On a Friday, I doubt it.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of sunny. Well, I just have no idea. I feel like someone who knows that I do that with the chairs is messing with me. But there's nobody here. There are a couple of women who work down at that end of the building that I have confided in them that I have a thing about the chair. I tuck the chair. I want the chairs to look nice. And they kid me about it when they see me. They're not here every day. But when they see me, they smile and laugh and like, there he goes to fix his chairs or whatever. Yeah, Allie.
Samantha?
Yes. And so they're not here.
No
one's here. Like, I could see Allie wanting to mess with me that way.
Really?
Yeah.
She doesn't seem that type to me.
She makes fun of me in a fun, good-natured way about this, that I take this walk and that I have this chair thing.
Well, you may know her better than I do, but sometimes people have that and you don't know it, that sort of capacity.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if she were here. I would have thought, why did you do that to the chair? I would have immediately accused her of messing with the chairs.
You sort of want to right now anyway, even though she's not. You haven't seen her.
Right. I don't understand. Like, what happened to those chairs? Who moved those chairs? Who was in there I mean, if
There's really no chance there was a meeting.
No. If everyone who's here in the building right now went down there, including us, and left the chairs like that, that's the only explanation I have. And I know we didn't do that. I don't believe any of the people that are working in the newsroom went and did that. What the hell happened?
I don't know. What would make the most sense?
It wasn't just one chair either. It literally was like 10 chairs were just all over the place in there. I mean, as far away from the table as the walls would allow them to be is where the chairs were. And I just, I stood in the doorway like, how? Why?
You'd been there. You'd been there an hour ago.
Not even an hour ago.
And then you went back.
Yeah. And there's no one here. I'm
ghosts.
I am shook by this. Honest to God, I do not understand what just happened.
What would be the likeliest scenario? Something happened.
Yeah.
There was no meeting. There's no way the big shots are coming in to have a meeting, and they wouldn't even do that anyway. I feel like most of the people we work for would put the chairs back. You know, like you're taught to do. Like you're taught to do.
I can tell you.
Not.
I can tell you that does not happen.
Okay, maybe not. But they're not in the building.
Yeah, and
so that's out.
And this was way more aggressive than it. You know, normally, there'd be like a chair or two that might be in my way that I could trip on if it were dark, and I got to tuck it in. Mm-hmm. This again was like 10 of the chairs were just like, what's even happening?
I don't know.
It would not have been. Given the state of the room, it would not have been surprising to see one of the chairs on the table. Literally, that's how messed up the room was.
You know, I hadn't thought of that one.
So I just don't have any idea what could have happened.
I should have thought of that one.
Did you go down there during a break and move the chairs?
I've been doing it every day. And last week, right, Zach? One day, I talked about it.
Wait, this is
real. The audience knows.
Oh, you guys are the best.
I was so worried I missed your live reaction when I had to do my update. I was very nervous I missed your live reaction.
I couldn't look at you. I was staring at my phone when you were telling me what happened.
I walked in and stood at the door. Like, I didn't even sit down. I couldn't even get in the room. I'm just like, how many people are... I'm yelling. How many people are in here right now? 8 of us?
I try... Since you haven't said anything... Like, it's just for me, just also getting up and walking around. But I try to put the chairs in, like, and spread them out in a certain way that makes it impossible to understand. Like, the chairs are touching each other face to face or back to back, all the way in the corner.
Yes.
Today I put one that's, like, facing right down at the garbage can. So you'd be, like, sitting right up on top of the garbage can.
Well,
I don't know.
Good job.
I don't know.
You did a good job.
Finally.
You shook me.
Finally a payoff.
Were you what? So you have been doing this for how long?
Since shortly after the time you told me that the thing, like that you go down there and
fix the chairs so I don't trip on them.
Yes, since shortly after that. Not every day, but every other day.
Were you doing this when it was dark out still?
I don't know. It was whenever you said that.
Because I never experienced. I never had any. What
was that? Like 2 or 3 months ago?
Yeah.
Okay. Since then.
Wow.
And I do think, like, it hasn't come up yet. Is there a way I can make it even more ridiculous where the chairs, like, I haven't gone as far as to stack them or put them on the table.
Right.
Because I really don't want a problem.
Right. Well, today was the first. They have been askew, and the room has looked different other days when I've gone down there after having been in there already, when I don't think anyone's here, but I guess I'm not sure. You know, they could have been in a different conference room having a meeting with the door closed, and they, for some reason, went in that room because they needed the TV in there or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I've never really given it a thought, and it's never been askew enough for me to react the way I reacted. You finally got me to where I was like, how could this have happened?
I love the one where, like I did, the first one, if you go right to around the table from right to left, the first change I made is to have the chairs, like the front of the chair just touching the other one. Like if people were sitting in those chairs in that configuration, they'd be on top of each other.
Right, like holding hands and like doing some sort of a trust exercise or something.
Yeah,
right?
Something sexual. Like it would be, why would 2 chairs be positioned like that ever?
Right.
Because it would never happen if you just got up and left. It would never end up where the chairs are literally touching front to front.
Right.
Yeah. And I know you had a thing about that one that's a different kind of chair.
Oh, yeah.
So I always make sure to move one of those.
Yeah.
The leather one.
Okay, yeah.
That's all over now. I mean, that's it.
That has been...
It's worth it.
What I've... Prior to today, when... Because the chairs... There are 3 kinds of chairs in the room.
Is that right?
There are.
I should know that by now. You'd think I would know that by now.
One set of them are exactly the same chairs that we're sitting in right now. Mm-hmm. Then there's chairs that have the same seat and back as we're sitting in, but have different arms, longer, sort of curved arms. Then there are chairs that have those same curved arms, but different backs and seats, like full leather or whatever, vinyl, whatever it is, coverings. And I told Allie this when I first brought it up to her. Eventually, I confided in her that I'm stopping short of looking in the other conference room to see if there's enough chairs to make all the ones in the room I walk through the same.
Swap them out.
So what I've done is I have all of the kind of chairs. The one kind of chairs are on one side of the table. The other kind of chairs are on the other side of the table. That all matches because I'm insane, and that works for me. The ends of the table, anything goes. I don't really care.
Right. Okay.
So when
You've made that change.
When I see one of the chairs like we're sitting in on the other side of the table, I think, is there someone that always sits over there that wants this chair that I'm annoying?
Yeah.
By moving it and forcing them to sit in this.
Well, they probably yes.
It's just you the whole time.
Probably yes. No, there could be somebody who wants to sit in a certain chair, and they probably all sit in the same seats in those meetings.
You've had a months-long gag running. I went to Puerto Rico and come home, and finally you get
I don't even remember why I brought it up. I didn't have a thought to bring it up. It was right at the beginning of a show one day last week. And do you remember why? I don't remember even why I said it.
You were missing me, that's why.
Something.
Couldn't have been that.
It just sort of came out. I felt like I was probably ruining it. By announcing it.
Nobody said a word to me.
Yeah. Great for me, but thanks everybody.
Yeah,
thanks for listening. or instead, maybe we're just so into each other that nobody would spoil it. Maybe let's say it was that, not that nobody was listening.
That was it. Yeah, that had to be it.
Even nobody at work said anything to me.
Right.
That could be a bad sign. I mean,
right.
The key still works, but
right.
I don't know.
I gotcha. Yeah,
it could be ending soon for me.
Oh man, and I'm over here accusing poor Allie.
Well, not really. I mean, you didn't think it was her. You just didn't have a better.
I didn't have a better idea. Like she. I guess I forgot that I told you I have this thing about such detail about the chairs.
I could have given you the weekend on this.
Yeah, you definitely could have. You probably should have.
Somebody then maybe tells you.
Yeah, if I'm out tomorrow or something, maybe somebody says like, "Hey, I heard you, on Friday talking about the chairs. It was Mike."
Should I have done that instead? Should I have just let it hang, until somebody else told him it was me? I don't know. I couldn't have.
I did. I'm trying to remember how long I let this run. We rented a car while we were in Puerto Rico, and it was a Hyundai Santa Fe, which is the same car you drive, but because it was a newer model because it doesn't look anything like your car. I described it to my kids because we were picking them up at the airport. I'm like, I'm going to be driving a car that looks like it was built in Minecraft, is how I would say it.
In sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day, alright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time. To all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster.
The St. John Fisher portion of training camp is in the books for the Buffalo Bills. No James Cook again today. And then before practice, head coach Sean McDermott did speak with the media and gave us an idea of who will be playing on Saturday when the Bills get their preseason underway at home against the Giants.
Josh will not play this week. The starters, the ones will play, give or take one quarter, and then it'll flow from there.
We'll get more on today when Sal Capaccio joins the show in just about a half hour at 3:30. And then a reminder that coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys, and driven by your Upstate Honda dealers for great deals on the entire Honda lineup. Visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. The preseason, though, does begin in bulk tonight. 3 games, 2 of which will be on the NFL Network. 7 p.m., Ravens host the Colts. Then at 10, Seattle hosts Las Vegas. And then sandwiched between those two, the Bengals at Eagles at 7:30. And then some injury notes today. Texan safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson was carted off the field with an apparent leg injury, as was Chargers tackle Rashawn Slater. No word yet for either of them on how severe they are. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Bulldog.
You know, I gotta wonder what kind of working relationship he'd have with Satan.
It's my Schopp.
I've often wondered that.
Like, well, he, they, I don't know what his pronouns are, or their pronoun. Anyway, Satan.
And the Bulldog.
What's the upside of doing well?
Well, maybe they're too busy making everyone else's life hell.
Oh, boy.
And
wow.
you might just be able to do your own thing if you're partnered with Satan.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
They're too busy, making Scott Norwood miss field goals.
Oh, come on.
On WGR SportsRadio550.
Hi. How's it going? It's Thursday. Rolling through the summer. Nate Geary is in for Mike. I am the Bulldog. Zach Jones, G on hand, running the Twitch and the YouTube. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well. It's warm in here. Very, very warm.
Yeah.
The lights, I feel, probably don't help.
I need to maybe start considering choice of color of shirt. Because what I'm wearing today
is not going to be good.
If the way I'm feeling right now is we're just starting, like you can already feel that you know what I mean.
I've
right?
tried to explain.
That burst of
yes. It feels like you're in an airplane.
Like I'm about to get.
It's like there's 120 people all breathing.
There's about to be a sheen on my arms here, and this gray T-shirt is
not hold.
It
not
might not.
to hold
It
up.
might not show well.
it might not. I wore my lip knowing that it's been warm in here. I wore my thinnest
water wicking golf
Peter
attire
Millar that I could find. Like it's it's see-through.
Yeah, I didn't do a good job. Yeah, see, I'm already leaving a mark on the
my water bottle is condensating. Is that?
Yeah, sure.
Is that a word?
I don't know.
I feel like you should.
We know what you
guy.
mean, though. We know what you mean.
Okay, you know what it is, yeah.
There's condensation building on your water bottle.
That's probably the better way to say it
more safely rather than making up
a word.
Yeah, but
here we are. It's 3:04. So
it's fine. Yeah. Yeah. No, my glasses are fogging up.
Are they? Wow. Yes, they really are.
Right near my nose. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Such adverse conditions we have to deal with.
Listen. They say it's a cupcake job. I'd like for somebody to try to do this for 4 hours.
Yeah. Well,
in this heat.
Here's what we've got for you today. Sal Capaccio at 3:30, special early time, a value added appearance of Sal.
Yeah.
I don't really know what that means, but I don't think anyone really knows what that means when they say it. They just say it. So value added appearance of Sal Capaccio at 3:30, and then his buddy from the It's Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast, Matt Beauvais, is going to be with us at 5. We reached out to Matt. I don't know, last week, maybe. I don't know. I'm not positive, but I don't know that we've ever had him on this show. And so Zach reached out to him, and he couldn't do it. And we decided at that point that means he probably hates me.
That's about right. Yeah.
And so
there was some bullying involved.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, he's coming on at 5, and we'll have to find out. I guess that means he probably doesn't hate me. We just overreacted last week, but I can be very sensitive. Bills wrapped up training camp, at least the Rochester portion of training camp. Everything they're doing is going to continue to be pretty much the same. They'll just be doing it in Orchard Park. There will be no fans in attendance, and so that'll be that. They've got a game on Saturday. We did learn today that Josh Allen will not participate in this game.
Shocked.
And the way that McDermott sounded about that to me, I think maybe for the first time, because he's always made an appearance, right?
Yeah, right. Even if it's a drive.
Did he do anything last year? I'm trying to remember, because he was supposed to play in Pittsburgh after joint practices, but then it rained, and they were worried about footing or something, so he didn't end up playing in the Pittsburgh preseason game. And I'm trying to remember if that means he played somewhere else, in one of the other 2 games.
I can't remember.
But the way McDermott sounds about it this year, I have a feeling that it's not happening.
And I don't know if you got this.
I'm fine with that.
You watched Hard Knocks. It kind of felt like, you had Bobby Babbage and the defense is like, 17 is our ticket.
Do not touch him.
Don't. Right. Joey Bosa, hey, accomplished player. Don't touch him. Get away from him. Right. Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, sir. So I get the sense they are in the beginning phases of Josh Allen's career of, he doesn't need to play in these games.
You're made. Yeah, it's interesting though. Like it really, I guess, depends on maybe how the player and the coach are sort of feeling about the whole thing. Andy Reid says Patrick Mahomes is playing in the first preseason game. He always played. Reid continues to be. I read a story that Reid continues to be a proponent of starters playing at least some in the preseason. So there's the other. One of the other kingpin quarterbacks in the league with, an extremely accomplished head coach with a massive track record and Super Bowl hardware all over the place. Like, yeah, we're playing. So we'll see what happens with that moving forward. But if I had to bet right now, I would not. I would bet on Allen not playing at all in the preseason. But we'll see.
That would be my bet as well.
I think the thing that sort of makes that even easier, I think, for the team to accept and the coach to accept is the joint practice, the prevalence of joint practices. The Bills will do that again this year. And so, I think that sort of takes that becomes a placeholder. It's a more controlled environment. Quarterbacks aren't getting hit in that environment, and I think that works. So, yeah, they'll go, right, it's next week in Chicago. They will go and work there with the Bears, and we'll see if Allen gets on the field at all in any of these games, but I'm guessing no. Speaking of betting, I thought we could have some fun here to start the show before Sal comes in, putting together. I've done this exercise. Mike and I did it one day, and then I did it with Sam Panayotovich, who will be our guest tomorrow at 3:30. Sal will be in for Mike while Nate is in today. Putting together an 8-leg parlay, division winners in the NFL. So I need you to. I assume you're equipped. You've got your workbook.
I am equipped.
You've got your workbook. Open your workbooks to the gambling app and get yourself to the division winners page. I don't, pick whatever app you want. The odds might be different app to app.
May the odds be in your favor.
I'm a FanDuel guy, so that's where I am.
I haven't gone on the laptop to bet in a while. It's usually all
on the phone
on this thing nowadays. But I'll get in here really quick. Give me a hot second.
Yeah. So I did this with Sam. I don't know that this one will come out the same. We'll see how it goes. I would like it to be different. Maybe I'll even put in a different bet. But it was pretty chalky. I had maybe the Vikings and the Cowboys and the Falcons as non-favorites to win their division, winning the division.
Okay.
And so that 8-leg parlay that I built with Sam ended up for a $10 wager paying out $4,300. Which is that's a tasty little guy there.
I'll tell you what. I just got I signed into my FanDuel. Right away it brought me into the account overview.
Oh no! Oh, don't!
Why did you do that? It should bring me right to the screen that I want to see. I don't want to see.
Nobody wants to
net totals.
Nobody wants to see that ever. I can't close that out.
Is
fast
this
enough.
real? I'm firing the FanDuel numbers lady. Someone.
Why is it a lady?
I don't know.
Sorry. Go ahead. Didn't mean to trip you up.
That's a tough watch. That's tough to look at.
No, that is not.
I stink at betting.
Do you remember? I don't know if you remember, like when this started.
Wow.
When this got legal, and I was, became one of these FanDuel endorsers. It was like, oh yeah, I put, they gave me some extra, whatever sign-on bonus and whatever. And for a while, I didn't put money in. I was head above water, I mean, those days are so far gone. It's just not even. It's not even funny.
The funny part about this is I had a couple of pretty good wins last year. Still.
No good comes of looking at that.
I don't know why they showed it to me. I didn't want to see it.
They're trying to help you be responsible.
Well,
I think that's,
I'm going to add $10 to funds and pay over 4. I'm just kidding.
All right, so let's here we go, folks. You play along if you want. If you want to get your gambling app open and do the same thing. So division winners, are you ready to roll over there?
Almost.
You're in there. Obviously, the Bills are a heavy favorite in the AFC East, and that is not a division where I see any value in picking one of the longer shots because I think it, barring anything awful happening to certain players that I don't want to even say out loud, I think there's almost no way the Bills fail to win a 6th consecutive AFC East division. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in. I've got minus 270 Bills in the AFC East.
I like that.
All right.
I'm not going to give you much pushback on that.
Right. I mean, Patriots are next at plus 550, and I just can't. No, right? If you want to do that because you think something's going to happen to the Bills that we don't see coming, maybe you'll be right. I don't know, but to me, that's just it's not worth doing. AFC North. You can get tempted maybe by the Bengals, but no, right? Ravens, chalk, minus 160
Book it.
Is the number. Bengals are plus 260 right now at FanDuel. Steelers plus 500. I don't even feel it's necessary to mention the Browns, but if for some reason you think the Browns are going to surprise everyone, they're plus 3,500. I mean, that's a lot of peanuts. Anyway, so Bills, Ravens, chalk. AFC South. I have gone back and forth here. I think the one that I put in with Sam that I bet on, I went Houston, which again is the favorite.
Yep.
Plus 115. Jacksonville is
interesting.
Is interesting to me at plus 300. I think for this exercise, I'm going to try on Jacksonville.
Did you hear the stat that every team in the AFC South has won the division twice since the last time the Colts won the division? Each team, the other three teams in the division, have each won it twice since the last time, which was 2014, the Colts won it.
That's bonkers.
Yeah. Because I look at the Colts in that division, and I say they feel like the steadiest one, that they haven't really taken that, like, a couple years ago, Matt Ryan was a quarterback, it wasn't good, but like they haven't really been the, we're so bad, we're the number one pick and taking a quarterback team.
I wonder if that happens now.
Yeah, it might.
Seems like it could happen now.
So you're going with Houston here, or are you going with Jacksonville?
I'm going to go with Jacksonville.
Okay.
Here. I just because I have Houston in the one that I've already bet on.
Sure.
Along with the Bills in Baltimore, so I'm trying to change it up, and I have to find some value in the odds somewhere.
Yeah.
Because when we get to the NFC, I'll explain why. So Bills, Ravens, Jaguars so far. We're at...
Are we doing this together, or can I pick Houston?
You do whatever you want.
Okay.
You do it. You go ahead, pick Houston if you'd rather.
I think I'm going to take Houston.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I've already got that bet, and I don't even know that I'm going to actually put money on this, but we'll see how it comes out when we're done. How much I like it. All right. AFC West.
Next.
Okay, Chiefs minus 110. I guess you're not interested in having a conversation about the Broncos?
I don't think so. Are you?
No. If only because it's sort of like the Bills a little bit. Like, are they just going to win forever and ever and ever? Like, there's more credible competition there than there is in the AFC East. The Broncos and the Chargers were both in the playoffs last year. It's conceivable they could each take a step and challenge the Chiefs for that division, I think. Although Rashawn Slater went down in a heap a little while ago at Chargers practice, and that doesn't look super promising. So we'll see about that. There's no early word on that, but it looked really bad. Like his knee just collapsed.
And he
fell.
got carted off.
Yeah, the whole...
Which we have to be careful talking.
Officially carded.
Officially carded,
yes. But I guess I'll stick with the Chiefs, because my prevailing thought with the Chiefs now has mostly become Patrick Mahomes is going to throw for 6,000 yards and 60 touchdowns this year, just to shut everybody
Yeah,
up.
I don't disagree with that.
I mean, I'm exaggerating here. I don't think he'll actually throw for 6,000 yards and 60 touchdowns, but I don't know, 5,050 maybe.
Maybe.
I'm bracing for a big, you thought we couldn't throw the ball anymore?
Okay, thanks.
Season out of Reed and Mahomes. So, all right, I'll go Chiefs there. Over to the NFC. Here's why I needed to make up some ground, because
you're taking Philly.
Well, yeah, probably. I guess I could consider Washington. The thing is, when I've done this before, and the one that I bet on, I had Dallas. Because I talked myself into CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and Prescott, and they're just going to score like crazy. And the edge rookie from Boston College, whose name is escaping me right now, is flashing in practice, and pair him with Micah Parsons. But then, Jerry Jones kept talking. Yeah, and their
odds might be going up in this very moment.
They are still at what they were the last time I bet them, but I can't do it. Plus 550 is where Dallas is at. So I guess I'm gonna go Philly. I'm
gonna go Philly.
So far, I've got 4 favorites and 1 second favorite.
Washington feels like an absolute the best candidate for the team that's gonna step back. McLaurin's in a hold-in of sorts. I think that Jaden Daniels is great. I think he's better than Justin Herbert. I like him better than Justin Herbert.
Oh my God!
In the hierarchy of where NFL, he might be today the best quarterback in the division, and that's not that's a division with 3 good quarterbacks. Yeah. I just feel like lightning in a bottle. I don't think they were as good as an NFC Championship game appearance, if I'm being honest. So yeah, as much as I like that number at plus 220, it's not crazy, and it feels like maybe that's the spot you pick up a little value, but I just looking at them, to me in my mind, they're like that's the regression candidate.
They might be,
and I'm not taking Dallas.
They might be, although they got farther in the first year of their quarterback's reign, if you will. Sorry, that was sloppy. They might be Houston from last year. Like this time last year, a lot of people were like, Houston is on the tier with the Bills and the Ravens and the Chiefs. And like I was all summer pushing back against that. Maybe Washington makes sense as the NFC version of that this year.
They won a lot of close games last year. I mean, like you have, of course, the Hail Mary against Chicago, but like they win in overtime or by 3 against Philly's backups, the overtime against Atlanta.
Also, for a team that just did what they did and has, in I think, most people's opinion, a top 5, top 10 quarterback now on a rookie contract. They did very little to like push their chips to the middle of the table. They kind of played this year. Don't they have like $50 million in cap space too? Like I'm pretty sure they are flushed with cash.
Their big move was trading for Samuel at the combine.
Yeah, and that's like okay. It's like the ghost of Curtis Samuel. It's not really Curtis Samuel or Debo Samuel. It's not really Debo Samuel.
Right.
It just
there appeared in the spring anyway to be more of him than ever. He looked like maybe he was training to be a tight end.
Yes.
I don't. Anyway, sorry, I'm not trying to body shame anyone. Moving on, NFC North. I'm a little on alert about the Lions.
Me too.
The coordinator changes I don't think have to be super smooth, and I feel like Goff has. This is still reverting back to. Goff needs Sean McVay to an extent. And I apologize for that because it's such a hacky thing to do, to like cling to something that's already largely been disproven. But with a new guy there whispering in his ear, I'm just a little worried about Goff. And just the overall there. So I like Minnesota over there. I don't know how good J.J. McCarthy is going to be, but I feel like if he's in the middle of the pack even, that roster is jacked.
Yeah.
They are loaded.
Talk about it the opposite of Washington. They went out and they just peppered their roster with good players.
Yeah.
And then, I know they didn't have much in the draft this year. It was really interesting for me to hear Aaron Schatz towards the end of his interview with you guys last week say hey, if Bills fans are all really excited to read my thing, but somebody the Vikings fans might, because we are not, their model is not high on the Vikings. Something like bottom 15. And I was like, interesting, because it just feels like such a good roster. Great head coach.
Right.
Maybe top 5 head coach. I really like Kevin O'Connell a lot. Everything's riding on the rookie quarterback. Well, rookie quarterback. But I'm with you on fading Detroit, but I like Green Bay. I think Green Bay's roster is probably very under the radar. I think Jordan Love's a good quarterback. I talk about another great head coach, Matt LaFleur. I mean, he is another bona fide superstar head coach, offensive play caller. And Chicago, we're not going there. Right?
I'm not ready to do that. No. It was funny. I talked to part of the reason I already had bet on the Vikings before this, but I talked to Matthew Collar last week, I think on Thursday, if I remember correctly, and he made a point about Chicago and Ben Johnson and how the transition from coordinator to head coach and learning how to communicate effectively with your players and how often he's losing his temper.
Yeah.
And people are going, that's Caleb Williams. He needs some tough love. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's a horrible idea.
Right.
Right. Maybe you're Josh McDaniels Mach 2 or something here.
Right. Because it's not the X's and O's with McDaniels. It's just not.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I'm a little on alert there. I liked Matthew making that point. I mean, it doesn't have to be right, but I'm on Minnesota there. You're thinking Green Bay.
Having said all of this, I'm going to take Detroit.
Oh, okay, great.
I'm just going to take Detroit.
Super. All right, sweet. All right, good.
Just going to take Detroit.
NFC South. I am on Atlanta. I'm on Atlanta.
I'm on Hotlanta as well.
I love Michael Penix Jr.
Me too.
I like the edge guys.
Like their weapons.
The weapons are good. Really, we could all debate how high Kyle Pitts deserves to be taken in fantasy drafts, but there's enough else there. So I'm into them. There's a risk in just overemphasizing how good Penix was last year because it's such a small sample size. But I mean, he made a lot of big time throws, even in just 2 starts, even.
Yeah.
But this is my priors coming back. I loved him in the draft. I thought he'd be a higher pick than people were forecasting, and then the Atlanta kind of made my day there. I'm bullish on Atlanta, so
I'm with
like
you.
them.
I think Bijan's prime for a big breakout season. Like, they've got a really strong group of receivers. It's not just Drake London, but I think Drake London is one of, if not one of the best young receivers in the league. Defensively, like you said, the edge rushers in the first round, I mean, they made some hay trading up and doing all, but as I'm talking about the Falcons, I feel like we are sleeping a little on the Bucs, though.
I like the Bucs a lot too. I thought you would take the Bucs because I know you like Baker Mayfield.
I love Baker.
As do I.
Yeah.
That's another thing that we agree on, and we talked about this the other day. And like that's too bad. But yeah, I didn't like him at first. Like, have you always been in his corner?
Yes.
I didn't love his style coming in, but the way Cleveland did him, I have been rooting for him ever since.
Yeah.
And so I love him in Tampa.
Looks
really
good.
Yeah.
And like they probably have the best trio of wide receivers in the league.
Right, even with Godwin, slowed by still recovering. But even if he doesn't get back,
I'm sticking with Atlanta, though.
You're going to stick with Atlanta?
Stick with Atlanta.
All right. The NFC West.
This has got to be the hardest one.
I don't think it's that hard.
No?
I mean, I have a hard time putting any faith in a team whose quarterback is getting epidural shots for his problem back.
Agreed.
You're
not there with Arizona.
I cannot stand Kyler Murray.
Okay.
If Kyler Murray was my quarterback, I would stop watching football, I think. I just don't have any faith in him. Super talented, can be fun to watch, but I just do not believe in it at all. I just don't. And Seattle, I think Sam Darnold is going to get decapitated. So I think worst to first for the 49ers is easy. They're the favorite, and that's where I'd go. And so I don't know. Arizona's tasty at 380 if you believe in it. I just cannot get there.
Here's my thing with San Francisco, though, is they lost a lot of players.
Yep.
A lot. I also maybe want to sit here and tell you that Stafford has historically played through a lot of injuries. But the epidural is definitely a concern. I mean, that's anytime that's happening, it doesn't feel like a good thing happening. I'm going to do the smart thing, and I'm just going to take San Francisco.
All right.
We do have an update on Stafford from about 5 minutes ago. He is going to be working out this weekend. If all goes well, he will practice on Monday.
Well, I'm going to
go ahead and change
that really quick
to the Rams.
Perfect. I got plus 26,907 for mine.
I am staying with the 49ers there. And I'm at plus 34,036. So I'm gonna.
What did you hammer? Oh, you hammered Jacksonville, which I think
Jacksonville
and Minnesota.
Jacksonville and Minnesota are the swings there. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm going to throw 20. I'm going to put 20 units on that to pay $6,800.
I put 10 units on mine, and
that's it. We're done. That's
America.
It's the first time I've ever done 2 of those in a single off season. I think I'm going to be done now.
You should be.
Yeah, that's enough.
It seems like the returns are.
It's.
I don't want to see my number.
It's one of those,
any larger on the minus.
It's one of those bets that like it's alive until December every year, but you look at it and like last year I think I might have had Tennessee or something. It's just like, good one. Let's go back to the summer and consider what made you do that exactly, because that was a terrible idea. I don't know that it was actually Tennessee. It might have been, though. I'm not even kidding. I thought the division might be so bad. Anyway, all right. There's a fun little exercise. Hope you all enjoyed that. We'll take a time out here. Sal Capaccio will join us for the rundown on the final day of Rochester training camp. The Bills will continue, of course, practicing once they get back to it next week. They've got like a walkthrough tomorrow at the stadium, and then a game on Saturday, a day off Sunday, and then they begin practicing in Orchard Park on Monday. Anyway, Sal coming up right after this timeout. Nate Geary's in for Mike. I'm the Bulldog, and you're listening to WGR. I just had a horrible, probably horrible, but also maybe fun idea to try to gaslight Sal by asking him all the same stuff that we asked him on Tuesday and see if he notices. The only problem is that I am not really. I remember you asked him about Ryan Nielsen, the D-line coach or assistant D-line, whatever. At the end of that appearance, that's the only thing I remember specifically. But if I could recall everything, maybe one of these times, Sal, I'll go back on the Odyssey app and re-listen to one of our segments and write down the questions that I asked and ask them all word for word again to see if you notice.
I don't know if I would. Because
I know.
I'm on in the morning, and then the 10 to 12 spot, I'll go on with those guys, and then I'm back on with you in the afternoon, and I'm used to answering the same questions anyway a lot of times.
I know.
So I don't think I would notice.
That's why I thought of it. We were joking around as we were starting up here, and Zach said something about, just don't ask a question that's going to take 5 minutes at the end about an assistant coach. I said, you should ask it again. I bet Sal won't even remember that you asked him about it on Tuesday. And now here we are. So anyway.
That's right.
So it's wrapped up, and do these get shorter every year, or has it been about this amount of Rochester practices now for a few years running?
It's actually the exact same amount as last year. 11 total practices out at St. John Fisher, 10 open to the public fans. So, I know people look at the schedule, say 10, it's actually 11. The exact same amount last year. And I think the same amount the year before. There might have been 12, but I think it was also the same. So I think for a few years now we've had the same. It goes pretty quick. It's like we saw people taking pictures today, say, oh, last day, that kind of thing. And I'm thinking, it's like first day, last day when your kids are in school, right? I remember taking that picture that first day walking on July 23rd onto campus, and now here we are today, and it's already over, it goes pretty quick, obviously, and we wait all season, can't wait for camp, and as soon as it happens, it feels like it's over in the blink of an eye.
Does anything at all about how they work change once they relocate to Orchard Park? Or is it basically the same? Is there the same amount of practice field space? Is there what changes, if anything, when they change sites?
Yeah, maybe even a little bit more as far as practice field, but about the same. They have that side field over at Fisher. They have a full field, another half field here in Orchard Park. No, nothing changes as far as how they operate. The only differences really are that there's no fans, obviously. Mm-hmm. They're showing up to these practices. And then but nothing changes on our end from what we can watch. So for the next couple of weeks until the regular season, essentially, the media is still there for every part of practice. We can still only show you certain parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can't film the 11-on-11, the offense against defense, 7-on-7 stuff. But we're there for the whole practice. When the regular season starts, all we get to do, as you know, is watch warm-ups. Josh Allen throwing to receivers, some offensive line work a little bit. Then we go to the media room for an hour and a half or so. We come back out because the team is working on game plan. So that makes sense. But nothing changes from our standpoint. The only thing that might be different, too, is logistically how things could operate, Bulldog, meaning injuries and stuff like that, right? Which is the field house is right there with everything they need. Their locker room is right there, as opposed to having that long runway where you go back. Here you have that tent outside. So it might be a little bit different when guys are working. That at camp you do see guys working outside the tent, and sure, you do that on the track or off to the side or in Orchard Park. But there's also a chance that maybe we don't see a guy because he's not too far away, literally in the building, working in that training room that's right next door. So that's the only thing logistically that's different, obviously.
Sal, let me ask you about a couple of players positionally, especially at the linebacker position right now. The top three seems pretty secure. Really, the last 2 days, I would say, I've seen a lot about Matt Milano looking healthy. I saw a couple of tweets from you and some of your other colleagues there that cover the Bills as well. Where have your sort of progress from? I also maybe want to lump Trey White into this and how important it probably is for these guys to actually get an off-season regimen rather than, rehabbing injuries. And especially as veterans, like how important is that for these guys? And how noticeable has it been, obviously for Trey White, but for Matt Milano as well, who got a full off-season and wasn't rehabbing all off-season like he had been the last 2 years?
Yeah, it means a ton. It means a ton, especially these guys who, they've had some wear and tear, but they know their body. They know what they need. They know how to kind of get prepared for a season. And, yeah, Trey White is now close to 2 years, I guess, removed from the Achilles injury. He played all last year, started with the Rams, went to the Ravens, and you guys heard the Hard Knocks conversation with Sean McDermott and Terry Pegula, and it's something I noted here a few months ago when they signed Tre'Davious White, which is the Bills felt that Tre'Davious White kind of was on an upward swing when he got to the Ravens and through the last several weeks there, even leading into the playoff game against the Bills. Then he ends the season, and he has an entire offseason to really work out, not worry about those injuries. He's not going to be on PUP. He's not going to be having to take time during the regular season. I think that physically and mentally that just means so much to these guys. They know they have a full offseason to get healthy, to work out. Same thing with Matt Milano. He did have a bit of a hamstring issue in the AFC Championship game that happened the week before that, but he did play in the game. And, by and large, he was pretty much, mostly healthy coming back from the injury that he had, the biceps injury he had early in the season. Because, remember, he got on the field for, 4 or 5 games at the end of the regular season. It means a lot. I think a lot of the young guys, too, are the same thing. I think second-year players, this is big for, guys. Second-year players, that full off-season they have and then dovetailing into training camp is so different than when they don't know where they're going to play. They're doing the banquet circuit and the bowl game circuit and the pro day circuit and then visiting teams. Like, to have the ability to set your feet, know where you are for a full off-season with all your coaches, I think can make all the difference in the world for guys.
Yeah, I heard Steve Tasker today with Matty Glab on One Bills Live on my way in. I often hear, a good 20 minutes of that show on my drive into the studios, and Steve was talking about that difference from year 1 to year 2, and even year 2 to year 3, but certainly the big leap in comfort level, right? Knowing where you're going to live, right? Just all the stuff that, and he was saying, like, veterans, they want to try to help, but you can't know what each guy is stressing about, right? Because everybody's going to be stressing about something different, and there's just so much that would be swirling around you. I think it'd be pretty hard to sort of keep your feet right under you the whole time.
Yeah, and I think McDermott, or being invited by McDermott, I asked him about this kind of thing towards the end of minicamp, which is, hey, what's the message of guys about staying in shape and things like that and working out? And, he indicated, like, hey, everybody's kind of different too, right? And not only are they different, we know that, they're different at different points of their own careers. So what was good for you as a younger player on what you need is different than what you need now in how many years. So even if a rookie asks a veteran, what do? That might not be the best plan for him, but maybe it's a better plan for him a few years from now. So you have to have that communication, and you have to figure that out on your own. Now, they're done with training camp here at St. John Fisher, back in Orchard Park tomorrow. This continues, as we said. They're going to keep on. They're in their season right now. It's not like they have this long layoff, but they're still at a point where you got to try and get healthy. You have to do everything you can. The difference now is, as opposed to a month or a month and a half ago, I'd say, you're not on your own now. You're here at the facility. If you were rehabbing, if you had something going on, yeah, you could be at the facility, but that's kind of more of an unofficial capacity back then. Now it's you're on the roster, you're with the trainers, you're with the coaches, and you're checking in the facility and doing all this stuff while your teammates are on the field. And I think that dynamic needs to be adhered to.
So when you were mentioning Trey White a few minutes ago, you mentioned Hard Knocks and the telling of his story. And one thing we didn't touch on yesterday that I never even thought to mention, I don't think, maybe I did briefly at one point. Have you known, like, I know he was gone for a year here, but has he always been running a hill or some hill after practice, like was shown on Hard Knocks? Because I'd never heard that about him, and I was just curious if you had ever known that was something that he liked to do, or is that something he just started doing this year?
I had never seen him do it before or heard about him doing it before. If he had, we wouldn't know. We wouldn't even know this year if Hard Knocks didn't show it. Right? Maybe he's always been doing it,
right?
And we've never known. Maybe it's something he started this year because he just wants to strengthen his legs. I don't think any of my colleagues asked him about it. I have to go look. But the next time we talk to Tre'Davious, I think that's a good question to ask him and try to find out. But no, I had no idea that he was doing these hills. You know what I'm thinking? I'm like, boy, the St. John Fisher coaches are watching this, and they're getting some ideas right now.
Right. That's a thought. A thought I had was tree roots. Right? I was just like, Right? I mean, we get teams always kind of freak out, rightly so, about the quality of the turf and the footing, especially these preseason games if stadiums are hosting all kinds of other events. And I've got a guy who's got like 2 devastating season-ending injuries that wrecked his career with the Bills at one time running these hills. I was just like, I hope the trainers are okay with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that those are things I would hope that you kind of let people know you're doing, but maybe and there's no kind of other way to do it.
Yeah.
It seemed like everything seemed pretty safe, but you hope that he keeps it safe. It's one thing that just showed out that that when you do watch that though, I think you get a sense. And if you've known Tre'Davious White, you've known this already, and the Bills have always said it about him. But you really do see how important it is to him. You see how hard of a worker he is to want to play football and be available for his teammates.
No question about that. Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline with us as practice at St. John Fisher University wrapped up today, and the Bills will shift to Orchard Park, New York, starting tomorrow for a walkthrough. They've got a preseason game on Saturday at 1 o'clock against the Giants. We found out that rookie Jackson Dart will play in the game. That's really all we know about the Giants, at least that I know anyway. And we know that Josh Allen will not play in the preseason. And Sal, I don't want to get too far down the road, but the way McDermott talked about Allen, and even the way Allen talked about his relationship with the coach and doing what he's told, I feel like maybe this is a year where Allen, I would bet on him not playing at all in the preseason myself.
Be an interesting bet. We've been talking about it in media circles. I think a lot of us believe he might play next week against the Bears. But you could very well be right. Maybe they use next week's just a joint practice on Friday to be able to give Josh that work. Maybe that's what it is. Last year he did that, but he also was scheduled to play against the Steelers. As you noted earlier, I know that the field was wet. That didn't happen. So I guess at this point I wouldn't be surprised either way. I could see him not playing at all. I mean, he's not going to play in that final game. He's not playing against Tampa, right? So it really is going to come down to if he plays against the Chicago Bears next week. I still wouldn't be stunned if he played Bulldog, to be quite honest with you. I think the Bills still feel value in having some reps, but maybe that's a tell that the starters are playing except for Josh Allen this week, right? Well, if you're not playing him now, then when are you playing him, I guess would be the question.
Sal, I want to ask you about Cole Bishop, who's still out, but looks like he's getting close to returning. Taylor Rapp goes out, I think, yesterday, knee injury. They said he's expected to miss about a week or so, nothing serious. I know for me and how this team always talks, whether it's McDermott or Bobby Babich always talks about, the valuable reps that these guys get in practice. I would imagine it's been disappointing for Cole Bishop and for the team being such a big year for him, kind of not giving him that starting safety position, but giving him at least the streamlined, kind of path to the starting position there. How concerned are you? How concerned are maybe the coaches on this team that he's missed another good chunk of training camp going into his season? That's, let's face it, I think a very important one for Cole Bishop.
I'm concerned, and I'm guessing the coaches are concerned that, he's just had this lack of availability here over the first couple of years. And with that last year came him being pretty far behind, enough that he really couldn't have a chance to get on the field. And as I've said a few times, when a rookie misses a time, it's exponential. It's not the same as Dawson Knox or Spencer Brown, who have been in these systems, who can just kind of seamlessly walk back in. Really, physically is the only thing they have to think about. This is mental reps, or this is mentally as well, knowing where you're supposed to be and getting on the same page mentally and physically with your entire defense. So I'm concerned. I'm guessing the Bills are, but we also, the fact that he'll be back, I'm sure is also something they're, obviously encouraged by, that it's not some sort of major long-term injury. But I don't know, guys. I mean, they're going to have a plan here at safety because they're missing their top 2 guys now. The starters are playing. What does that mean? Who is that? Is that DeMar Hamlin, Derek Forrest? Is it DeMar and Cam Lewis? We'll find out on Saturday. But, it's not an ideal situation at a position that many people had already thought was a questionable position, or at least one of the more questionable positions on the Bills roster heading into training camp.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Cam Lewis too. I wasn't stunned, but I was a little surprised he was listed at safety with the second pairing and not at nickel corner, which is a position that Brandon Beane himself has talked a lot about. Cam Lewis being good enough to start across the league for a lot of teams. Is that maybe something to you, or is it just that's how the position's kind of shaking out with Jordan Hancock there too?
I think it's more the latter, Nate, but it is interesting. I did note it. I think it's more of we're going to put one here and one there. Mm-hmm. I still think that Cam Lewis is the first guy in if something happens to Taron Johnson. So that's the way I look at it. Could it change, and could it be Jordan Hancock's the first person in and Cam Lewis is strictly a safety? Sure, especially with all the injuries at safety right now. Like if with all the injuries, they may say, "Look, Cam, we're just going to keep you there right now because we need people, and we need to make sure that we're set right there." And with a guy we can trust, well, then what happens then is Jordan Hancock goes to nickel corner, and he gets a lot more of those reps. So I think circumstance dictates it, Nate. But when everybody's healthy, I still believe that Cam Lewis is the first guy in if something were to happen to Taron Johnson.
So I want you to take us or help us go through what McDermott said today about James Cook, because it's possible that someone in our audience saw some tweets around the time that McDermott was speaking before practice started about him expecting James Cook to be out there and thought, "Oh, wow, James didn't make well," and then a few hours later find out, "Oh, he wasn't out there at all, didn't take part," and wondering like what exactly happened. But it turns out I think McDermott was just speaking the way he speaks generally about anyone who's healthy, right? Is what happened there?
Right. When he basically, I think this is very similar in a way to the Stefon Diggs situation at minicamp a couple of years ago, which is when he said, "I'm disappointed," because he's always disappointed if someone's not practicing, right? And then in this situation, I'm expecting him to practice because he expects people to practice if they're there.
Right.
And unless he hears otherwise or knows otherwise, then I think that he would have that attitude. I expect him to practice until I see otherwise, right?
Right.
He didn't use the last part of that, but I think that's where that comes from. And when he says it, I think he's using the general terms that he would for anybody that is on the team and healthy, that he would be expecting them to practice. And then obviously we go out there, he was not practicing. In fact, he was not seen at all today. Not to my eyes, and I don't think my colleagues, but I have to check if anybody saw him after. But from anything I saw, nobody saw James Cook out there at all today, even on the side.
And I know that Sean McDermott did clarify that he has been taking part in classroom stuff and even walkthrough stuff.
Yeah, and the walkthrough stuff, I believe, I'll go back and check, but I think that's correct. He did clarify that. But to me, it's funny because Joe and Jeremy asked me about that this morning, and my answer was, well, I would assume he is doing all that, because if not, then the team can fine him. Now you can find people like in that situation because you're on the team, you're there, and you're not going to meetings or you're late, right? You can find guys for stuff like that. So I would think that that's the case. They can't fine him for not practicing. That's not in the CBA allowed. So it makes sense that he's been there. He's going through all these, meetings and everything off the field, but obviously he's not practicing right now.
Do you know if anyone has asked, and this is not me implying that someone should have, or you should have, I'm not trying to do your job for you. Has anyone asked McDermott if he knows why Cook stopped coming out like he was out there on Sunday and, interacting with coaches and teammates and mental reps and all that, and then Monday there was very little of that, and then since then nothing? I'm wondering if the team told him to just stay inside. There's no point in you being outside. But I wonder if anybody's asked him that.
Nobody's asked him that, so I wouldn't be able to answer that.
Okay.
No, I've not heard anybody ask him that.
All right, Sal. The Yankees won yesterday. They did not blow it.
No, that's good. That's good. See, I can be optimistic, Sal, again, because
right.
they yesterday I thought that was that was the case. Do we do best of?
Yeah, today? I was just opening up my notes to make sure we got to it because it's the last day of training camp at St. John Fisher University, so we should get a final training camp best of from you.
And this is the day where I just want to say, the best of is everything about camp and the fans coming out and the players interacting with them. It's just special. You see it on Hard Knocks. This is not what all these teams do anymore. They don't go away like this. And some do have fans where they train, But like today, Josh Allen taking a lap around the track at the end of practice, shaking fans' hands, and this has become a yearly routine. But just all the fans who showed up, it was just a really great atmosphere this year. The volunteers, I think I mentioned this yesterday, they're teachers. A lot of them are teachers in the Rochester area who, for their summer job, they're the ones who walk around and make sure that everybody knows where they're going and kind of help out and look at the badges and things like that. So I just think the best of training camp was training camp itself and how everybody enjoyed it, and it was a great atmosphere.
All right, that is the best of training camp brought to you by Northtown Automotive. Get a Northtown Engine Shield engine protection warranty on new and used vehicles. Sal, thanks a lot for this and everything all through camp, and I know the beat will go on with us even starting tomorrow when you're in here with me co-hosting or on with me. I don't know if you'll be here or not, no pressure. But look forward to that and the game on Saturday. Sal, have a good weekend. Well, I shouldn't say have a good weekend. I'm going to talk to you tomorrow. Sorry, I'm rushing.
I'll be there. I should be there at 3 o'clock. I'll see you.
That's awesome.
Before.
All right, look forward to it. All right.
Yep.
There's Sal Capaccio on the West Her Hotline. And again, his coverage, all our coverage of Bill's training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys, and driven by your Upstate Honda dealers for great deals on the entire Honda lineup. Visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. We will hit up a timeout, and Nate and I will spend a little time with the depth chart. In particular, I don't know how much, we've only been together just the one day earlier this week. There's a lot of names of guys that seem to me like they should be on the team on the defensive line, and there's just not going to be room for everyone here. So I want to run through that with you and get some thoughts from you on where that stands. They do have the suspensions of a couple guys that may help in the short term, but once we get through that, there's just a lot of bodies.
We also have
there.
to talk about Mac Hollins.
What's going on with Mac Hollins?
He's getting some hate.
Okay, well,
he is not as appreciated in New England as he is here.
Oh, okay.
There's even an Outkick article about him.
Okay, I did see some reference. I saw, some Bills fan comment on a post about him saying, like, if they don't love you, come on back here, we'll take you. But I didn't know that there was, something behind that.
We'll have
right.
less than half a second on the other side. I'll read the quote.
Oh no, we're going right to the top of the hour here. So.
Oh, okay.
We'll get to it
10
eventually.
minutes.
Yeah. All right. Very good. So you trying to run the show? You want to do Zach's job now? You and that stupid mustache. All right, Nate, get that did not need to be said. Nate's in for Mike for now. I don't know, he may leave. I'm being rude. I'm Bulldog. This is WGR.
The St. John Fisher portion of training camp is in the books for the Buffalo Bills. No James Cook again today. And then before practice, head coach Sean McDermott, he did speak with the media and gave us an idea of who's going to be playing on Saturday as the Bills get their preseason underway at home against the New York Giants.
Josh will not play this week. The starters, the ones will play, give or take one quarter, and then it'll flow from there.
For more on today, we do have pieces up at our website, WGR550.com. And a reminder that coverage of Bills training camp is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys. By Outlet Liquor, when you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. And driven by your Upstate Honda dealers for great deals on the entire Honda lineup. Visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. Preseason action, though, gets underway tonight. 3 games in action, 2 of which will be on the NFL Network. 7 p.m., Ravens host the Colts, and then at 10, Seattle hosts Las Vegas. And then sandwiched in between those two, the Bengals at Eagles will get going at 7:30. And then some pretty big injury notes in the AFC. Texans safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson carted off the field with an apparent leg injury, as was Chargers tackle Rashawn Slater. No word yet, though, for either on how severe these injuries are. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Everything was neat. All the chairs were tucked in. It was fine. I didn't have to move anything, and I just walked through and came back. And then just now, I got up and walked around, did the same loop, and there were like 10 chairs as askew in there as I've ever seen. I don't understand. Like, what happened to those chairs?
It's Mike Schopp
I don't know. What would make the most sense?
and the Bulldog.
I am shook by this. Honest to God, I do not understand what just happened.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Did you go down there during a break and move the chairs?
I've been doing it every day.
It was me all along. On WGR Sports Radio 550.
All right, glad to have you hanging with us here on a Thursday afternoon. I am the Bulldog. Mike Schopp has been away all of this week and part of last week. Nate Geary, kind enough to step in, leave the golf course behind for a day, and come on in here and do a little radio, which is nice. I like that Pinehurst hat. It's
a good hat.
Lot. It's good. Yeah. It's a good hat.
It's a nice hat. I got like 5 more. Not of this exact one, but
that would be kind of dumb.
Would be insanely dumb. Yeah.
Yeah. But nice. Good luck.
Yeah.
I hope everybody on the Twitch and
enjoys.
The YouTube is enjoying it.
Well, it is a big hat crowd.
I apologize for the mustache shot at the end of the segment. That was not necessary. You look, it is freaking me out. Listen, it freaks me out on a number of levels still now. Owen's been working here, my oldest son, since late December, early January. And like that, that's been a lot for me to adapt to.
Sure. For
some reason, you with the hat, he's also a mustache guy, and just looking at you, the two of you look eerily like my kid sitting here. So
I'd like to be Owen's age.
This is it. Yeah. Well, so who wouldn't?
Yeah.
And he's 23.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Man, what a time.
Yeah.
What a time.
Yeah.
My knees yearn for 23.
Knees, back, other stuff.
All the other joints.
Yeah. All right. 803-0550 is the number. We'll get into Nate's Mac Hollins.
Yes.
What am I calling this? Story?
Saga.
Saga?
No, it has not risen to the point of saga.
Anyway, Nate's got something on Mac Hollins, and I want to get into the Bills' defensive line, but we take calls on this show. 803-0550 is the number, so let's fire that machine up. West is first up this segment. Hi, West. Thanks for calling. You're on WGR.
Hey, Bulldog. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I have a hypothetical for you.
Okay.
Let's say James Cook isn't on the field opening day for whatever reason. How do you think that will affect their overall offensive play calling? Will they let Josh run more? Because, I mean, he's still one of the best athletes in the NFL. Like, he's got no injury concerns. He's one of the biggest, strongest, fastest quarterbacks in the league. Or do you think they'll change the game plan up? Will they bring up someone from the practice squad, maybe Frank Gore Jr.?
Yeah, no, well, I would think there would definitely be, if James Cook extends this hold in into actually missing games, which I asked our buddy Mike Giannitti from Spot Track about this yesterday, because I had a recollection from like 20 years ago about how it worked, and I thought, man, can it still be the same? And it pretty much is. Cook can miss up to 11 regular season games and still get credit for a season on the contract. So, in other words, if he shows up after 11 games have been played, and he will get credit. The Bills don't have to play him, but like if he comes and says I want to play, then he'll get the year of his contract told and become a free agent after the season ends. So like that's really the nuclear option that Cook's camp has. I doubt that it gets there, but if it did, in your hypothetical, he's not there even for just week one. Forget about 11 weeks worth of this, but he's not there week one. Yeah, then I think Darrington Evans or Frank Gore Jr. or some back that they like if they fear that this is on the horizon, when cuts are made, somebody that they like that might be available that could outrank Frank Gore Jr. or Darrington Evans could be brought in. But yeah, they'll have a third running back on the roster. I think Ray Davis steps into the 1A role. I think Ty Johnson probably stays as the third down back, and whoever is in that Ray Davis slot with Cook not there is your backup running back. And I don't think you would have Allen run more, at least not in September, because as durable as he's been, I think the team has even said, Brandon Beane, it's even a couple years ago, was talking about, the time and place with his running and how much urgency is there. And yes, the opener is a big game and it's against Baltimore, a team you should be competing for the number one seed against. So you're going to want it, but I don't think you run Josh Allen more because James Cook isn't here, if it were, again, to come to that. So
they want to protect him.
Yeah.
I understand, and they should. And maybe they'll go to a more of a short passing game and utilize all the receivers they have, So, yeah, okay,
all right,
thank
good.
you.
Sure, appreciate the call. I hope we addressed that capably for you. Or I did. Nate really didn't have anything to say.
Nothing.
I was just rolling. Chance is next up on WGR. Hi, Chance. Thanks for calling. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing today?
Great.
Good. I was calling. I don't know if you've heard the Deion Dawkins comments. He did an interview, I think it was someone with NFL Network, where he asked, is this year's Super Bowl or bust? And he kind of broke it down literally, and he said, I don't believe this year's Super Bowl or bust, because it's not like if we lose, our contracts are going to get voided out and all that. And he kind of just broke it down literally, it's just kind of a weird take by him, because he's had comments in the past, we have the best player on our team, or best player on the planet, which, I agree with. But either way, and he also had comments at the end of the year, we would have put up a better fight against Philly in the Super Bowl and then KC did, and to me that's kind of he's contradicting himself. Also, there's probably 3 or 4 teams in the league where if you do not at least get to a Super Bowl, it's a failed season, and Bills are one of them. Bills, Ravens, KC, maybe Philly, and to me, maybe personally on a personal level for him, it's not Super Bowl or bust because he's still going to be paid. He's still going to be on the team next year. But for a lot of guys on this team, it may be the end of the line on this team. For McDermott, if they go into KC and lose again in a crazy way, it may be the end of the line for him. So I just think that's kind of a weak take, kind of like
Well, without having seen it entirely and knowing the context of it, I don't want to get too far down the road on it. But I think, I don't know, Nate. You want to try this one?
It's tough because you have to sort of sit in the middle of understand the context of this has been a team that, didn't make a playoffs for 17 straight years. And then there was this okay, hey, the quarterback's pretty good. Okay, they make an AFC championship game in 2020. And it took them a long time to get back. Right? Last year, they got back for the AFC championship for the first time since 2020. It took 4 extra years. I think now, after Josh Allen wins the MVP, and, I don't think this has any bearing, but we'll see where he ends up on the NFL top 100. He's probably going to be in the top 2 or 3 players, if not number 1. Where he is at in his career, how good he is, it might not get better than what we saw last year and maybe this year. And to the previous caller, they can run the ball with Josh more. That's continually going to get phased out, as those designed runs were very rare last year outside of the tush push. Super Bowl or bust, I think, is it a failure if they don't make the Super Bowl? I do think so. I don't think if they don't get there that
everything blows apart.
Yeah, Sean McDermott's not going anywhere.
That's the thing about not knowing what the context of the conversation was. What is Super Bowl or bust? Like, taken literally, what does that mean? That it's over. It ended, and nothing will end if they lose. If they lose in a wild card game, nothing is going to end. I don't think. I mean, I guess perhaps the owner could choose to do that, but I'm sorry to mix this into it. It doesn't really have to matter, and it probably shouldn't matter, but they're moving to a new stadium next year, and I just cannot imagine them firing Sean McDermott after a season like any of the last 4 or 5. Again, I'm not telling you that doesn't mean it might not be warranted. We don't know what it's going to look like, what this like speculative failure ends up looking like. Super Bowl or bust. I know out here, that's all we need. That's all we're waiting for. And I think that from a fan perspective is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
We should all that's what we want, right? So Super Bowl or bust. If you're a competitor and you're on the team, of course that's the goal. But saying or bust, or it's a failure if we don't do it, is setting yourself up for you're stuck in a corner. Like, what now? What, do you have to quit football or something? I don't know in what way he was asked about it and how he commented on it. So I don't want to get too far down the road. It sounds to me like you're speculating, you're heading down a road where you think Deion Dawkins doesn't want it enough or something. And I don't know. There's enough pressure on this team, I think, internally and certainly externally, that another player saying, like, we have to do this thing is only going to add to it. So I don't know. I'm not at all concerned about his mindset or this team's mindset. They know. I mean, Josh Allen talks about bringing the trophy home here all of the time. So I don't want to get too tangled up on what Deion Dawkins said in whatever context it was about Super Bowl or bust. And I agree. I don't think that you're looking at another year if it doesn't end up with a parade where there's wide sweeping changes. I know it's going to be harder and harder for them to stave off that portion of the fan base. It's ever growing with each year that goes by. Like, I get it, but I just don't. I don't know. I don't even like the question. I guess. Like, I'm supposed to tell you what I think of a guy saying a thing that I don't know exactly how he said it and in what context he said it, so I want to stop talking, is really what I want. 803-0550. I mean, thank you for calling, but I don't really know how to effectively respond. I've been just babbling here for 6 minutes. Mike is next up on WGR. Thanks for calling, Mike. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing? You brought up an interesting topic. I want to ask you quickly on what you just said. What would you consider a fireable offense? I mean, I'm not going to go as far as Super Bowl or bust, but let's say we get knocked out of the first round. I mean, now we're really regressing from being an AFC championship down to getting knocked out to the first round or not even making the playoffs. What would be a fireable offense for McDermott for you? Second, I think the Cook situation is I think it's crazy. I mean, in this league, the running backs are lucky to get one big payday, one contract. I mean, the guy outperformed his contract, 18 touchdowns. I mean, you have Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, of course. Maybe he's in that Jonathan Taylor, maybe slightly under. I think with the Kyron Williams signing, kind of showed you where he's at. Give him his 12 to 13, and let's get going. Final point you said about the defensive line. I believe now with the two guys, I think it's Michael Hoyt, and I forgot the other guy.
Ogunjobi. The suspensions?
Yes.
Yeah.
The suspensions, I believe that we should keep all 8 at this point. I mean, I think it's 8 on the depth chart last time I checked. You know, it's kind of putting us between a rock and a hard place with those guys being suspended, the Wayne Carters and, you know, people like that of the world.
Yeah. All right, Mike, thanks for the call. Yeah, I mean, you got up, you mentioned the Kyron Williams contract, and then you went $1 million and then $2 million further. Look, I appreciate James Cook, and I appreciate him trying to get paid. It's his chance to get paid right now, and sure, he'll have a great chance in free agency next year if he gets through this year unscathed and healthy. So I understand the business of what he's doing. I am not eager for the Bills to reach a contract extension with him. I have been consistent about that since the subject first came up. Even before he started tweeting the eyeball emojis about $15 million, I would not throw a fit and light fires if they signed him to the Kyron Williams contract, but I don't need them to do it myself. I don't have any trouble at all moving forward after this year with a new running back in his place, or Ray Davis in his place, and a new running back in Ray Davis's place, and on you go. So I'm not really that bent about it myself. And I just don't want to pay a running back $12 or $13 million. I don't think I have to. I think I've got it's a little bit, and I know how easy to make fun of the Giants and Joe Shane for saying what he said last year about I'm not going to pay a running back, whatever it was, $13 million, talking about Saquon Barkley before he left for the Eagles, when I've got a $40 million quarterback. Well, you know, his problem was that his $40 million quarterback never should have been a $40 million quarterback because his name was Daniel Jones, and he's terrible. But the Bills have, what is it, a $50 million quarterback, and he's the MVP. I want talent on the field, but I need talent at receiver, and I would rather pay receivers than pay a running back that kind of money myself.
Yeah.
I'd rather pay a receiver twice, 3 times what Cook is looking for than pay Cook $11 million. Myself, that's just me. So you're asking the wrong guy. Like, pay him for harmony's sake, sure. But I'm not eager to get something done there myself. And I don't know that the Bills... Maybe they are. Maybe they're working tirelessly behind the scenes to try to get a deal done. But to me, Brandon Beane does not sound like... He always says we can always do it next spring before free agency. And the more he says that, the more I just think the urgency is not there from the team side because the gap is too big. Despite the reporting earlier this week that indicated that there wasn't that big of a gap. I'm skeptical about that reporting myself, too. So... I don't know. Did I cover the bases there?
I think you did. Did you get to his initial question, which is what is a fireable offense of Sean McDermott? Because I don't know that there is one.
Missing the playoffs, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know that would do it either. I think he's the idea that he is even when I hear like national media people talking about is Sean McDermott on a hot seat. I think it's the funniest thing ever. I think that it lacks context of who. The other team that the owner owns.
Well, sure, there is that. Yeah,
I think that is.
Yeah,
I don't think there's anything on the field that could happen this year. They could. I mean, they go winless. Maybe they'll with Josh Allen and he's healthy all year. Maybe it'll be like, yeah. I mean, we got to change this up. But like,
well, yeah, you know,
he is dealing with some of he has a strong foundation, continuity, a general manager he gets along with, a head coach that gets along with the general manager, and a team that is generating a lot of revenue. Like I just like it to me. I don't see a path where Sean McDermott's ever, like I think what would happen was if they had a really bad year, they went 7-10. Is that right? Is that a numeric?
Yes, 17 games. Yes,
7-10.
Good job. Good mathing.
And I think what would happen would be next year he's on the hot seat. But I don't think there's really a scenario that guy's not your head coach next year, and I think he's a top 7, top 8 coach in the league.
I think that's probably right. I think everything that goes right here, I think, including them choosing Josh Allen to be their quarterback, which sort of gets, you know, if you're after McDermott and or Beane if you want, but McDermott is really the face of this because of the 13 seconds thing. It's like, oh well, if they hadn't lucked into Josh Allen, like sure there is luck in choosing players and choosing quarterbacks, but discredits their process and how they arrived at choosing Josh Allen. Why do you think they chose Josh Allen? Yes, the skills and the talent that was there, the raw ability, the size, the arm strength, the hurdling over linebackers, all that stuff. They also believed in him as a leader and a worker and his character. And they chose him. And they got it right. And just because you can't have that described as an exact science does not mean that they should be not given any credit and have it all washed up to dumb luck that they chose him instead of Josh Rosen. If you were paying attention in the draft process, like I know how the whole station got perceived as wanting Josh Rosen. I said every day of the draft process, there's no way this team is choosing the son of a surgeon and a millionaire and a tennis player to be their quarterback. They're not picking Josh Rosen. Josh Allen is more their type of dude. And they were right. I mean, what do you see with Allen? Not just on the field, but the team around him in the community, him with the fans. They believed in the kid, and they were right. And I think saying it was just luck and they'd all be fired if they had gotten that wrong, well, duh, of course they would have. But you should give them some credit for getting it right.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though it's an inexact science, they chose the right guy. And I don't think you should just throw that away because of 13 seconds. And nor should you throw away everything else that's been built here that is easy to take for granted on this team and in this organization. It's McDermott's house. He built it.
Yeah. And he built the culture.
And I think it's just, and yeah, culture can be a big eye roll. Mike and I have argued about it for years. The whole program works. And I think to just simply, but this moment here or that moment there, and they got lucky with Allen. I think that is patently unfair and borderline absurd, honestly, in the end. There. How's that?
Bang.
That good?
You did answer the question.
803-0550 is the phone number. Nate Geary's in for Mike. I'm the Bulldog, and this is WGR.
Portion of training camp is in the books for the Buffalo Bills. No James Cook today. Again, the hold-in continues before practice. We also heard from head coach Sean McDermott, who did tell the media that Josh Allen not playing in the preseason opener on Saturday at home, though some other starters will play around a quarter or so. That's the same for some of the preseason games tonight. But coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the best place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys, and driven by your Upstate Honda dealers for great deals on the entire Honda lineup. Visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. Now to the games that are going on this evening, two of which are going to be on the NFL Network. 7 p.m. Ravens host the Colts, and then at 10, Seattle hosts Las Vegas, and then sandwiched in between those two, Bengals at Eagles at 7:30. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
We move forward. It's an opportunity for somebody else to step up, show us what they've got, and the team moves forward. That's the nature of the business. You get these reminders from time to time that it is a business, and but at the same time we've got to move forward as a football team, and that's on an individual basis and a team basis. So we care for Jimbo, we care for him and his family, and we look forward to having him back. We'll see if that happens today.
I don't have a Liev Schreiber imitation in me, but narrator, it did not happen today. He did not get back on the practice field today. There's Sean McDermott talking about James Cook prior to practice, and there was confusion a little bit this morning, right? When he said, I expect him to be here.
But then it was like, well, I expect everyone to be here.
Right.
So
but the tweets got out there right away from a few reporters. I did not see Sal do it. He may have, but I didn't see his name on one of those. But I saw a few like, Sean McDermott expects James Cook to practice today. Like 3 or 4 in a row. Like, oh, wow, this is a thing. Oh, no. He's just speaking in generalities about James Cook. So that situation continues. I'm not super worried about it. I think eventually he'll come back in, but it is, it's probably uncomfortable for everyone at this point that he's not getting what he wants. And I don't know how he'll react if he doesn't ever get it. Like if they don't agree on a new contract, I don't know. Is this a guy you got to worry about sulking or something? I mean, I can't answer that. But all I know is right now, sitting here today on August, August 7th?
It's the 7th.
I don't know. I'm not in a crisis about it. I think it'll get resolved. Maybe they'll reach a Kyron Williams contract extension with him, and okay, then that solves it. Or maybe they won't, and they'll just wait for him to come back in at some point. And if he doesn't, then I'll be worried.
But I just don't think it's too punitive financially. And he has said as much. He likes his money, which is why he showed up to mandatory minicamp and to training camp,
right?
Because of that.
Right.
So,
right, yeah.
To start missing game checks feels...
right. He can miss games and get credit for the year, but he's going to cost himself,
game
a
checks.
lot of the $5 million he's slated to earn this year if he chooses that route. So that doesn't seem very likely to me at all. 803-0550 is the phone number. Denny is next up. Hi, Denny. You're on the air here on WGR. Thanks for calling.
Hey, I appreciate you guys taking my call. The only thing that I'm disagreeing with is on the whole Sean McDermott thing. He's not Teflon. I know there's a familiarity with Bean. Obviously, they were together in 2003 with the Carolina Panthers. That team is like a microcosm of that team, except we got a 10 times better quarterback than Cam Newton. There's a lot of familiarity even with Joe Brady. He went to William & Mary. Same thing with McDermott. This team is very similar to the Patriots when they had Brady. They're going to win the division. They're going to make the playoffs, so you can't set the bar there. But the window is closing. I'm going to be honest with you. It reminds me a lot of like the Braves in the 90s when the Atlanta Braves, when at least they got one title. They had all those great teams, but they hadn't won one. The same thing with the Yankees. They made the switch from Showalter to Torrey, and they won it all. I'm not sitting there saying that McDermott can't do it, but I think he's the better suited as a defensive coordinator. They had a shot at Bieniemy. I know a lot of people didn't hire Bieniemy. I think he deserved a chance. They didn't even look at him. Sean Payton they could have had. Jim Harbaugh they could have had. Ben Johnson, probably one of the best offensive minds in the book. You have a team that can put up 30 to 35 points a game, and that's what it's going to take to beat. I would have at least taken a chance on Bieniemy, because if anybody knows how to beat Andy Reid, it's Eric Bieniemy, because he was right in his right-hand pocket. The two of them together were like peas in a pod.
Do you have no? I want to interject here. One question about Bieniemy specifically. Do you not respect the fact that 32 teams in the league have not hired him? I don't know why, but to me, that's a name to pull that I think would have sounded better 3 or 4 years ago before he got passed over for 40 head coaching jobs.
You're 100% right. But Peyton, Jim Harbaugh, come on, they didn't even consider it. I mean, it's like the guy has got like a blank check. He reminds me of Cashman and Aaron Boone with the Yankees now. They're not getting rid of him. There's a familiarity. And I'm not saying, I'll be honest with you, Bean is 10 times the GM that McDermott ever is a head coach. McDermott's a defensive coordinator. I think he did wonders with the defense. But I'll be honest with you, when Leslie Frazier didn't return, I swore, I said to all my buddies, I said, Ron Rivera is going to be the next defensive coordinator, because they're all buddies. They all know each other. That's what they're familiar with. And I don't think that's what's going to get this team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I understand. When you use the phrasing window closing, are you referring to the team right now, like the build of the roster, or is that just with McDermott at the helm? Because the window closing sounds like you're calling from a time machine from 2 years ago or even last year, because the roster's been refreshed. Veteran players and leaders, kingpins of the team that McDermott built with Bean have gone by the wayside. One of them's now come back in the form of Tre'Davious White, but the roster's turned over. They've refreshed. Like, they don't right now have a number one wide receiver. We'll see if one develops from what they've got here, but I don't see a team with a window problem right now at all.
Okay, I'd say 2 more years with McDermott, but even so, what is it? What do we have to show for it? Nothing. We haven't even gotten to the Super Bowl. This team, look, they can argue about the 13-second debacle and all that stuff. That's fine. The guy is a great guy. You know, I've seen him. I've actually seen him in the community. He's probably one of the nicest people you ever meet. I just don't think he's the guy that's going to deliver him to the promised land.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, so far you've been right. I mean, I can't tell you you're wrong, because he's going to have to do it, and I get the impatience. Believe me, I do. My diatribe 10 minutes ago was just about how, and you are not doing this to me. You're not exaggerating everything here. Although the window closing thing was a bit much, and I called you on it, and I think you understand where I'm coming from. I just think, really, what you get when we're so hungry for a championship is that everything that he's done well gets taken for granted and gets undersold, and I just don't think it's fair. So, I'm going to push back.
No, and I appreciate that. I love the honest dialogue back and forth. That's why I love your guys' show. But I just think that he's just not the guy. He's Buck Showalter in the Yankees. They got to bring in a guy like Torrey that can sit there and take it to the next level. This team is going to win the Super Bowl. Let me take that back. To win their conference, they need an offensive-minded coach. It's that simple, and he's not that guy. Sorry, they're the 2003 Carolina Panthers, but at least that team got to the Super Bowl. This one hasn't.
Okay, I think you've got your years mixed up, because you referenced Cam Newton in 2003, and that's before he was
15. I think he's thinking 15.
Yeah, thinking 15. But fine, whatever. Okay. I said my bit on that. 803-0550 is the number. Frank is next up. Hi, Frank. Thanks for calling. You're on WGR.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Great.
I just want to say, I don't know what's up with our fans calling for the firing of McDermott, especially after the seasons we've been having. Maybe we just got too spoiled after the run that we had in the 90s, and people just want to recreate that, but we didn't get it done there either, so I don't see the point. McDermott is exactly what we have. He breeds good culture, family values. He's a defensive genius. It's just, he is not the sole reason, and I think people are just trying to pin it on everything. And that's all I wanted to say, but I also want to leave you with one thing that, because I know Nate Geary is on the call, and he told me a while ago that every time I'm on with the Bulldog that I need to throw you a Waterboy quote. So I'm going to say, he spit in the cooler. Thank you. That is all.
All right. Thanks, Frank. What did you tell Frank?
I'm not sure.
Okay, good. Appreciate the call. Defensive genius. Look, man, the playoff numbers against Kansas City are ghastly. They are.
I feel like I'm being split.
There's no denying
by
it.
Two very left and right takes in the last two calls.
It's it's one of these things that you don't ever have to plan on talking about that just sort of will pop up now and then. And if one of us, in this case it was me, gets really wound up about defending him, it's just, here we go. It's referendum on Sean McDermott as the Bills head coach day again. That doesn't have to continue. I'm just saying, that's what's sort of happening in the last 45 minutes.
Listen, the answer to this question I'm about to ask you doesn't matter. Let's just start with that. How many Super Bowl appearances would the Bills have if they were in the NFC? 3? 2?
Sure.
So some of it is they are facing a dynasty in the Kansas City Chiefs that might go down as one of the best of this entire era. And then also, it's not just Josh Allen that is not winning a Super Bowl. It's all of the other great quarterbacks in the AFC, including Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. So, I know Burrow's gotten to one, but they've been, frankly, terrible since they got to that Super Bowl. I would say this. Does it not feel like that head coach, Zach Taylor, if I were to talk about one of these teams with a head coach that deserves to be fired, to me, Zach Taylor's one, and he got to a Super Bowl. So it's not all, it is. It is about winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But if it truly was all about getting to and winning a Super Bowl, and we all agree, I think we all agree, and if you were going to say which of those two coaches deserve to be fired first, would you see anybody? I don't think you find Bengals fans that would defend Zach Taylor. So to me, there a little of this, you have to have the context of they are not the Cincinnati Bengals under Marvin Lewis. They aren't winning divisions and losing the wild card round. That's not happening every year. They're not getting to a place where it's so clear what their ceiling is.
Right.
Nobody here, other than, I think, who was a Chance that called in that said, their window's closing. Their window's gotten wider in the last 2 years than it was.
Yeah.
We all talked about how aging their roster was with Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde and these guys that were very clearly at the end of the road with that roster. And then they got, we all thought, worse, and they had their best season. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think their window's closing. Their window is open as long as Josh Allen is playing at this level, which could be another year. It could be 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know. But they're not the only ones not getting the job done.
Right.
And, Harbaugh's considered a great coach, probably a Hall of Famer. He's not getting it done with a guy that's got 2 MVPs against the same team. They don't have a Super Bowl appearance under, Lamar Jackson. So, I don't know. If it was just the Bills,
yeah,
I would say, all right. And if there was 4 winners in the AFC, if Burrow had a Super Bowl, if Jackson had a Super Bowl, I might say, okay, everyone else has got theirs. Josh doesn't.
What are we doing
Shake
here?
it up.
Right.
But it's the Chiefs and everybody else.
803-0550 is the number. He's Nate Geary sitting in for Mike. I am the Bulldog. Matt Beauvais from Channel 7 and podcast partner with our buddy Sal Capaccio coming up at the top of the hour. This is WGR. Thanks for hanging with us today. Nate Geary sitting in for Mike. I am the Bulldog. 803-0550 is the number. Matt Beauvais from Channel 7 coming up at the top of the hour. Back to the phones we go. Steve is up next. Hi, Steve. Thanks for calling. You're on the air here on WGR.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, thank you.
I just wanted to chime in on the McDermott thing, and I really didn't think this would even be coming up before our first preseason game, but I guess
Agreed.
There's no part of the year that's great for everybody getting on a tangent and bashing the head coach. I just wanted to drop a little defense in honor of him, if that's okay.
Sure, go right ahead.
I think after that 13 seconds game, if you would have told most Bills fans that they'd be in the playoffs against Kansas City and have the ball with a chance to win with 2 minutes to go, everybody would agree to sign for that on the dotted line, thinking that one of those times the offense would get the job done. And that's not, that's ultimately McDermott's fault as well because he's the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
But I think sometimes you just have to get some good breaks, and the players have to have that special play. And especially in that last AFC Championship game, I think that whole first half, Allen looked scared. And I just, I don't think it's all him. I think also they just haven't gotten that right break at the right time. And hopefully this year is the year we get it.
All right, Steve, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Yeah, look,
They also gave up 30 points to the team that didn't score 30 points all year.
Right. The numbers are ghastly when it comes to McDermott against Reed and Mahomes in the playoffs. There's no arguing that. But
Yeah.
I'm with Steve largely.
Yeah,
2
I am
years
too.
in a row. You asked me right now here, what did I say? It was August 7th, right?
Yes.
On August 7th, would I take, whether the game's here or there, I don't care. I'm playing the Chiefs, and I'm down by 3, and there's around 2 minutes to go, and I've got the ball around midfield. I'm signing for that right now.
I would rather have it than the other way, than to be down, to be up 3 with the defense on the field. I wouldn't want that.
Which I know is an indictment of McDermott in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
But still, all the same, like that's the scenario where your season has basically ended the last 2 years in the playoffs against the Chiefs. Is offense with the ball, plenty of time to get the winning score, maybe even too much time to get the winning score. And, then you're worried about getting scored on again, kind of like the 13-second game. But nonetheless, they've had the opportunity to win both of those games if they can make plays on offense, and they couldn't. And, nobody wants to hang Josh Allen in effigy over that because he's awesome and incredible. But the offense has not come through in both of those situations. And sure, if you get a few more stops, maybe they don't have to. I know. But the way those two teams match up, I think you should expect a scenario where you're going to have to come through late. That's it. And the offense, at the end, in both of those games, the last 2 playoff losses, has had the opportunity to do that, and they have not come through. So, McDermott, it always is like this. Nobody's got a McDermott jersey, and Allen is the MVP, and he's awesome. This is not a criticism of him. Direct. I don't have a problem. I'm not insane, right? But I think when it comes right down to it, I look at that and say I would take that every time, and that might not be fair to Allen in the offense. But if I'm going to beat that team, I feel like I'm going to need to score last. That's it.
Yeah.
And they've had the chance to do that 2 years in a row and haven't done it. So slings and arrows and everything you want at McDermott for the defense and the shortcomings, and a lot of it is fair. I'm not telling you it's not. But in the end, I've got the ball around the 2-minute warning with a chance to win the game. I'm betting on that every time. Even though it's failed the last 2 years, I would take that bet again right now.
Yep.
So that's where I'm at. We'll thank you for the calls. Good, good conversation.
Discussion.
Yeah. Matt Beauvais, Channel 7 sports director and podcast partner with our Sal Capaccio, coming up right after the top of the hour update. I'm the Bulldog. Nate Geary's in for Mike. This is WGR.
the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. Oh, you seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to choose your timeline with the roller coaster.
The St. John Fisher portion of training camp is in the books for the Buffalo Bills. No James Cook again today. The hold-in continues. And then we also did get some word on what to expect this Saturday when the Bills get the preseason underway. Head coach Sean McDermott speaking on who will be playing before practice today.
Josh will not play this week. The starters, the ones will play, give or take one quarter, and then it'll flow from there.
For more on practice today, we have multiple pieces up at our website, WGR550.com. And a reminder that Bill's training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys. By Outlet Liquor, when you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. And driven by your Upstate Honda dealers. For great deals on the entire Honda lineup, visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. We do have preseason action tonight, 3 games, 2 of which will be on NFL Network. 7 p.m., Ravens host the Colts, and then at 10, Seattle hosts Las Vegas. And then sandwiched in between those two, Bengals at Eagles at 7:30. Then some injury notes from today, especially in the AFC. Texan safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson carted off the field with an apparent leg injury, as was Chargers tackle Rashawn Slater. No word yet for either on how severe those injuries are. And then some good news for Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford. He will be working on his back this weekend before the Rams get their preseason underway on Saturday. And if that does go well, he will practice to some extent on Monday. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
We're up there, and here are the people on the panel, so I'm taking pot shots at Brian Brown. Because, that's what he came to Buffalo for.
It's Mike Schopp.
You literally told E.J. Manuel to his face that he sucked.
And the Bulldog.
I was proud of you, because I
feel like that's what you're there for.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I know. I couldn't, though. No, I couldn't.
I'm better than you.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Cool to have you hanging with us here on WGR on a Thursday afternoon. Nate Geary sitting in for Mike Schopp today. I am the Bulldog, and very happy to welcome noted podcast co-host with our Sal Capaccio, as well as sports director from WKBW Channel 7, Matt Bovee, to the West Her Hotline. Matt, if I did this whole song and dance about this being the first time you were on the show 2 or 3 years ago and I forgot about it, I apologize. But I think this is the first time you've been on this show. Am I right about that?
I think you're right, and I think that's probably why I'm so unbelievably nervous right now.
Wow.
Because this is a big debut, and I'm a little bit scared. I don't want to mess it up and make it my last time.
I don't know why it's taken us this long. You've been under the umbrella for a while now with this podcast with Sal, and I just I don't know. It's just
how many times you can have Matt Perino on, but not Matt Beauvais?
I know it's on us. It's on me for not dialing you up. Anyway, man, congratulations on the series on the stadium.
Yeah,
by the
great.
way, like that was, I know, had to be a labor of love for everyone involved, but you guys did a great job. I mean, home run city.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It was certainly fun to put together, and it felt like we needed to do something special getting ready for the final season. And I was like, you know what? We have this gap between when mandatory minicamp ends and when training camp starts. Why not do 7? I mean, it's Channel 7. Why not do 7 episodes on the stadium specifically? Just because when we get to this point, there's so many things going on and there's so much to talk about. So it kind of fit the void. The interviews were awesome. Everybody was so excited to talk about it. And I feel like that's when you get the best stuff, right? When it's something that people are excited to talk about. And with the stadium especially, almost everybody can remember their first time there, the people who they were with, the favorite memories that they've had along the way, the favorite games they were there for. So it was just kind of something that we didn't need to screw up, and we're really happy with the way it pieced together.
Is there something or a few things that for you really stand out as the absolute peak highlights of the whole series? Or is that too hard a question to ask?
No, there's probably a couple things that stood out. Honestly, I appreciated some of the ways that people opened up that don't always open up. Like Sean McDermott was really good with his interview and really candid about kind of sharing the story about how when the stadium is now no longer standing and he's no longer here, one day he hopes that his kids and grandkids will go there and look at the site and be like, hey, your grandfather won a lot of games here. And that's where he really kind of started to cut his teeth in the NFL. There was a longtime ticket worker, Deb, who worked for the organization, and I asked her, it was one of the first interviews we did, I just said, hey, what do the Bills mean to you? And she just broke down in tears and said everything. And then I looked behind me, and everybody in the room was basically sobbing. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but it was also so incredibly poignant that I was like, okay, this is going to be really good.
Yep.
And then getting Marv on the phone was awesome. As you know, I'm from Western New York, so to hear the stories about Marv Levy and know the legend of Marv Levy, but we never interacted with each other. Marv Levy has no idea who I am, but I called him, and he was willing to talk about the stadium, and that was the first person we got to talk. And I was like, okay, like we got Marv. We got Jim eventually. We got all the heavy hitters from the 90s and then some incredible people from the current era. So it was there's a lot of really good moments, but probably Deb breaking down in tears right off the bat was like, whoa, this is going to be pretty powerful.
Well, on to the 2025 Buffalo Bills and the Rochester portion of training camp and all the great ice cream and everything. It's all over now, so I know. Shed all your tears. I've never been, so I don't know. I've been to camp. I just have never been to Pittsford Dairy.
Either have I. I feel like maybe we've both been.
I'm missing. I mean, how badly are we missing out, Matt? I mean, it's ice cream.
Okay. What you just said, I feel like is an incredibly accurate take. It is delicious ice cream. There are a lot of places where you can get delicious ice cream. If you were at St. John Fisher University, it's really close by, and it's a really cool place to go. So it's certainly convenient, but it's not like I would make a special trip for it. I feel like there are places that are in Western New York, like our part of Western New York,
right,
that have just as good ice cream. So it's really, really good, but I also don't want to oversell it and be like, it's the greatest ice cream you'll ever have, because then I would be lying. And like we said earlier, it's my first time on the show, so I don't want to lie to you guys.
Fair.
Good first step.
So I'm usually at camp it depends how many Sundays they play, and then I go out and do the show there on Sundays. And the last 2 years, it's only been once because I have the Ganson tournament the following week, and they're usually there. So when I'm there, I get one chance. Ice cream, I love ice cream, but I'm out there and I'm like, okay, this is my chance to get a garbage plate. I'm going to go do that. And if you've ever shotgunned a garbage plate, which is kind of how I would describe how I eat it, which is I feel terrible afterwards. And then I have an hour and 20-minute drive back home. There is no way in hell I'm topping it with a milkshake or any ice cream afterwards. So that's why I have
choices have to be made.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, you have to make the smart smart choices, and you know, obviously, what your body can handle and what your body can't handle. And I certainly would not be doing that combination if I was getting ready to go into a car. And by the way, congratulations on the Ganson win.
Thank you.
You're the talk of the town, Nate. So very, very well done.
Thank you, Bove. I appreciate that, man.
Talk of the town.
Yeah, listen, I know it sounds.
I mean, he doesn't
sounds
really.
dramatic.
He barely works here, Matt. You don't have to butter him up.
It sounds dramatic, but he's kind of right, Bulldog. He sounds dramatic, but it's pretty right. Yeah.
Matt Bove from Channel 7 and co-host of the It's Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast with our Sal Capaccio on
Zach
the Western.
better not clip that out either,
on the Western hotline with us. So how about how this has gone so far? I mean, the injuries this camp have been maybe the story of camp, but fortunately, I guess Maxwell Hairston is the most serious of them, and even that isn't a season-ending type deal. So, knock on something wooden here. They've escaped without anything horrible happening, really, but they've got a lot of nickel and dime type stuff that's just eaten into practice time.
Yeah, the big one to me is Cole Bishop, and it's just because it didn't feel like he could afford to be missing any practice, but he has missed most of training camp. So now it's like, okay, when he comes back, is Taylor Rapp going to be back from his injury? And if he is, are they actually going to get any snaps together? Because it feels like the safety position, to me, is probably still the biggest question mark on the entire roster. So for Cole Bishop, he's probably going to start. I think that it's his job and it's Taylor Rapp's job. He just hasn't been able to get those reps, so that's concerning. The good thing about it's not a good thing. You don't want anybody injured. But with the Hairston injury, the way Trey White has played the last 2.5 weeks, I don't think he was winning the job anyway. I think that was going to be Tre'Davious White's job. So now it feels like he can kind of ease his way back into things a little bit, which is definitely nice. And then the only other significant injury, even though there's a lot of injuries, the only other really feels like week-to-week one right now is Khalil Shakir. And Sean McDermott told me today, I asked the question, do you think he's going to be back by the start of the regular season? And he said he does. And Sean doesn't always really give timelines either, so that makes me think that they are pretty comfortably expecting Shakir to be ready to go for week one. So, yeah, I mean, the injuries are a topic because there are so many of them, and it might get really, really messy in this first preseason game with who they have out on the field. But it does feel like they've escaped, anything super major and just anything that's going to really linger into the start of the regular season.
Matt, I want to stick with safety because I think it's a interesting position to the points you made with the injuries, and Rapp's kind of been in and out of practice, but he's mostly been there. It is disappointing. We talked about it with Sal last hour. It's been disappointing that he hasn't been available and in practice. The guy I think everybody is sort of asked about when I brought it up on Twitter a couple days ago, well, what about the Derek Forrest kid they signed? He's started games in the NFL and looked pretty good for Washington a few seasons ago. And obviously, the DeMar Hamlin conversation is difficult to have because I think that, of course, that they know that they can trust him if he's got to go out there and play. But I think the whole point was upgrading from him last year. And now we kind of sit at this position where I don't think any of us are here saying, well, Cole Bishop's not going to start because he hasn't been in practice. But I think everybody's wanted the Cole Bishop thing to run a little more smoothly, and his first action, he gives up a deep pass, which never happens, and Sean McDermott deep. You know what I'm saying? It hasn't been the best starts, and it felt like, to your point, it needed to be a strong start to this training camp.
Well, and that's the thing that, going back to the Hairston injury, he's going to have to deal with what Cole Bishop dealt with last year of okay, how are you going to get ready for a season and be counted on when you don't have the snaps in training camp? And now Cole Bishop is dealing with it again. I mean, he's going into his second season and he's never had a full training camp. And I know that, we're not talking about the biggest sample size here, but it's also not like it's the deepest room. Like you brought up Forrest. The only other name really in the mix that I think we need to pay attention to is Cam Lewis. I think in their minds, they're viewing Cam Lewis now as kind of a primary backup safety. So I don't even know if it's a guarantee that Forrest makes the roster. I think they might keep what they know in DeMar Hamlin and then a player who's really versatile in Cam Lewis because he can play safety and he can play nickel cornerback. And I know some people are going to be listening to this right now and they're groaning, position flexibility, versatility. We're so sick of hearing that. Well, that might be the difference in keeping 5 wide receivers or 6 wide receivers. It might be the difference in keeping an extra defensive lineman after you deal with the Hoyt and Ogunjobi suspensions and those guys come back. So I think that they have to get a little bit creative there, but Cole Bishop being injured isn't doing them any favors. The only good news is it feels like he's close to coming back. So even though he did miss most of training camp in Rochester, he should still probably be back out there next week. So if he's back out there next week, he can get into a preseason game or two, probably play a ton of snaps. I'm still kind of mentally preparing myself for, okay, it's Cole Bishop, and he's lined up next to Taylor Rapp.
Yeah, I think that is a big spot to look. I mean, the Bills really went to work on this defense in the offseason. I mean, the draft picks and the free agents. I mean, it's there's a lot of new faces, but on that back end, like there is a certain comfort in having gone through a year with Hamlin as a starter back there with Rapp, and he was. This show, we sort of have a thing with the word fine. Like, fine, how's your meal? It's fine. Mm-hmm. Like, I ate it. It was good. It could have been a lot better, but, fine. I'm fine. And I think Hamlin is, like, the very definition of how this show uses the word fine. But I think you want more impact plays back there, right? That's the idea behind getting Bishop out there, the athletic profile. Everything should, if it hits, you should be able to get, something in between what you had last year and what you had at like peak Poyer and Hyde, which I know that's a very high bar, but you want to get back to something closer to that than just sort of getting by.
Yeah, and theoretically, all of the effort and resources you put into the defensive line should also improve the safety play, just because the quarterback shouldn't have as much time to make something happen. So that's why it's like, okay, yeah, if you can get fine, that's not ideal. I think Cole Bishop has a higher ceiling, but I also think because of the rotation they'll have on the defensive line, because I think Trey White, right, which is crazy, I wouldn't have said this 2 weeks ago, I think Trey White now might even be an upgrade from what they got at the cornerback 2 position for a large chunk of last season. So now you've theoretically, like, once again, improved your corners, you've improved your defensive line, and you should have Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard playing together. So now I feel like if you have a couple holes, maybe they won't be so glaring just because you have improved in other places. I think sneakily this defense could be really good this year. I don't think it's going to be elite, but I think it's going to be much better than it has been, and they need that because the defense has failed them in big moments. But I'm starting to get the sense that the defense is better than the maybe outside of Western New York audience realizes or is giving them credit for.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Bernard because you tripped a wire there. I thought to say this a few minutes ago when we were talking more about Bishop, but what Bernard went through in his second year when he was, designated as taking over a starter's role after Tremaine Edmonds left in free agency, he missed all of camp and I think even the Orchard Park portion of camp and wasn't really ready to go until shortly before the opener, and he got out there and just was making plays right away. And hopefully Cole Bishop doesn't miss that much time, but it's kind of similar to the situation that they were in with Bernard when he was taking over a starting role.
It almost happens every year that there is some random player who we're not talking about enough who kind of jumps onto the scene and really outperforms what their expectations were. And a few of the names that I think are the candidates for that are obviously Cole Bishop. He just fits the profile, second year, whatever. Dwayne Carter is another one. It's like, what exactly is Dwayne Carter? I feel like a lot of people have kind of overlooked him because they've added so many other people on that side. Maybe there's growth from Dorian Williams and whatever rotational role he is in, even though you really like Milano and Terrell Bernard. So I do think that's a good point, though, about, hey, let's not completely write off Cole Bishop because maybe he just needs a couple weeks and get familiar with the defense and not the actual physical side of being out on the field.
If you had to put a wager down on how the James Cook situation resolves, he just comes in and plays on his existing contract. They reach an agreement on something maybe like the Kyron Williams extension from 2 days ago, or he doesn't get an extension and chooses to sit out regular season games. Where would you put your chips?
So actually none of the three. I think the most likely outcome is that they give him a couple $1 million almost to appease him and just get him back into the building. Well, he's already I shouldn't say that. He's already in the building.
Yeah.
Get him back practicing and available and ready to go. And then they circle back to all of this next year just because the Kyron Williams thing makes sense to me. I understand that contract. There could be some similarities there. But the big difference, and some people might not like this, some people might think that James Cook is way better than Kyron Williams, and I don't think that's crazy. Kyron Williams is on the field all the time.
Yep.
He's on the field more in that offense than pretty much everybody besides their offensive line and Matthew Stafford. James Cook isn't on the field more than half of the time. So today, Josh Allen is talking about, hey, we really hope we get something done with James Cook. We desperately want him. And then a minute later, he says, I think Ty Johnson's the best third down back in the NFL. It's like, okay, for sure. Right. But if you think Ty Johnson's the best third down back in the NFL, you're not taking him off the field. So are you willing to give James Cook what he's asking for to be a player who, let's say he even increases his workload 60% of the time? Is he worth $11-12 million? I don't know the answer to that. If you could get him around that price, I'd be fine doing it for 2 or 3 years. I don't think that would be a bad move. But I'm certainly not going higher than that, and I'm certainly not going longer term than that. But that's just me. But I think what ultimately happens is they write him a $2 million check, they add it onto his contract, he comes back, he plays, and then they reevaluate. Because, I mean, he's not going to get 16 rushing touchdowns again. There's going to be some touchdown regression, and then maybe it's a number that is easier to fit into your kind of formula moving forward.
So the other guy that this year, I think a lot of the conversation around outside of Keon Coleman, because I think he was probably front and center as the guy that everyone had been talking about and needing a good camp this year, and by all accounts is definitely having that camp, and a lot of highlights for Keon Coleman. The other guy is Dalton Kincaid, and I think yesterday or maybe it was this morning, goes down late in practice with a little bit of, I think it was a knee, but nobody really made a big deal of it after practice, or maybe his ankle, maybe that's what it was. Where are you, Matt, with his role on this offense going into this year, and just how important is his change for you, his importance, him being good as the important piece to how this offense maybe gets better than they were last year going into this year?
Probably the two guys you mentioned are the two biggest X factors I have on the entire offense. I think I would still trust Dalton Kincaid a bit more than Keon Coleman. That doesn't mean that I don't think Keon Coleman can be an effective player. I just think the skill set for Dalton Kincaid and the lingering injuries he had last year were probably more significant than we think. And it's easy to go back to the AFC Championship game and that ball in the air and hitting the ground and that leaving a sour taste in everybody's mouth because, it's a play he probably should be able to make. But I still think Dalton Kincaid has a big role in this offense. Would any of us be shocked if Dalton Kincaid leads this team in targets this year? I don't think any of us would be shocked. That's not happening with Keon, right? So that's why I think he is legitimately the biggest X factor, because if you get a rookie year Dalton Kincaid version plus a little bit of improvement, we're talking about a really effective and useful tight end. So I don't exactly know what they're going to do on offense and how much 12 personnel they're going to run and how much Dawson Knox is going to be involved. So I don't know if he's ever going to be, a guy who's getting 120, 130 targets or a Trey McBride or anything like that. But I do think that this could be a sneaky big year for Dalton Kincaid. So I do really think he's a huge X factor for them.
All right, Matt, how'd it go for you? How do you think you did? Let's get your grade. Let's get the judges' grades out here. How do you think it went?
I think it was fine.
I think he was fine.
That you know what that does? That gets you another call.
Yeah,
that's what that gets. That's exactly what that gets you. Is there anything you got coming up here on the TV side of things you want to promote here, or are you done after this stadium series?
No, so thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on. So yeah, Monday nights we have our show Leading the Charge. The stadium series was running in place of that for the last 7 weeks, but we're just kind of getting ready for football season. It'll be myself, it'll be Joe Biscaglia, and then a guy named Howard Simon.
Oh, that's the show. Howard's on. I can't watch that.
So that'll be
the glare from his head is just too much. I can't. No.
He keeps us, on our toes for sure. It's a good thing that there's about a 5-second delay because sometimes he'll get really, really heated, which is always super fun to watch and be next to while it's really, really enjoyable because it feels like if, I'm at a certain level, he will bring us all to a different level when he especially gets angry. So, yeah, we're doing those every single Monday night. During the season, it's 7 to 8. Right now, it's 7:30 to 8 o'clock. And then, just all of our work on Channel 7, WKBW.com. We're full, you're you're jumping in the deep end with Bills coverage here.
Does Howard still sit there on set with a yellow legal pad?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
that's all I needed to know.
Nothing changes.
All right, yeah, no,
With the yellow legal pad.
that goes back to the summer of 1994 when I interned for him at WBEN. The yellow legal pad is still, and for years I did the same thing because protege.
Yeah, right.
You got it. All right, Matt, this was really enjoyable for us. Let's do it again soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
That is Matt Beauvais, sports director from WKBW Channel 7, also co-host of the It's Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast with our own Sal Capaccio. We'll hit a timeout here and come back for lots more. A lot to digest from our conversation with Matt. Nate Geary's in for Mike. I'm the Bulldog. This is WGR.
We've been living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go! All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over, it's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole. Oh, living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. Oh, you seem to easily forget how to place your bet when every day life.
The Buffalo Bills have closed the book on the St. John Fisher portion of training camp earlier today. No James Cook again. The hold-in continues. And Bills head coach Sean McDermott did speak with the media before practice, gave a bit of an update on what to expect when the Bills do get their preseason underway on Saturday at home against the New York Giants.
Josh will not play this week. The starters, the ones will play, give or take one quarter, and then it'll flow from there.
The Bills have also worked out two kickers today, Caden Davis and John Hoyland, and then linebacker Balin Spector. He did clear waivers and now reverts back to IR. Coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys. By Outlet Liquor, when you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys, and driven by your Upstate Honda dealers. For great deals on the entire Honda lineup, visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. We do have 3 preseason games tonight, 2 of which will be on the NFL Network. 7 p.m., the Ravens host the Colts, and then at 10, Seattle hosts Las Vegas. And then sandwiched in between those two will be Bengals at Eagles at 7:30. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Guys going out, it's no different than, Khalil being out with an ankle. Guys are stepping up, making plays, and, it was good for Ray to get some of these reps and getting on the same page with Ty again, who I think is our best third down back in the game, and just gives them a couple more opportunities. But, James is who he is, and he's one of the best running backs in the league, and you'd be crazy not to say we don't want him out there. We desperately want him out there with us, and hopefully something can get done.
There's Bills quarterback Josh Allen speaking about James Cook and squeezing in the compliment of his third down running back, Ty Johnson, that Matt Beauvais referenced last segment.
I'm kind of like the station's third down running back, if you think about it.
Sure, yeah. Except Ty Johnson doesn't, skip days of shows to go golf.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah. But it works.
It works.
That was a shot. I got through yesterday fine.
You did.
Not that you asked.
I didn't.
Yeah. 803-0550 is the number. Nate Geary's in for Mike Schopp. I am the Bulldog. You know I appreciate you when you're here. Even
of course.
If it's only for a couple of days. The old guy here, running with the ball solo. It's
being Kyron Williams is it's a lot.
It's a lot. That's right. You're asking a lot. All right. John is first up this segment. Hi, John. Thanks for calling. You're on WGR.
Hey, what's up, guys? I just wanted to respond to some of the cynicism from the callers. I know cynicism and Buffalo kind of go hand in hand, but I don't think this team under McDermott has even reached its potential yet. I don't think it's reached the apex, not even close. And being from Detroit, I'm in my mid-40s, and no athlete do I have more respect for than Isaiah Thomas. And he went through heartache and tears trying to overcome this great dynasty in the Boston Celtics. It was extremely difficult. And I look at this Josh Allen era and going against Patrick Mahomes, these two great quarterbacks. I don't think it's a Jordan situation. Jordan never lost a championship. When you watch these two quarterbacks, I don't see a difference. And I really believe that under Joe Brady, with Josh Allen, I think they're going to take it even to another level. I think, like Nate Geary said a few callers ago, I think a lot of times when you're going through these really difficult playoff losses, heartache playoff losses, some of the greatest playoff games I've ever seen, you lose context in how great the Chiefs are. It's hard to say that as a Bills fan. Patrick Mahomes, just like Josh Allen, these are the two first-ballot Hall of Famers. These are two John Elway, Roger Staubach type quarterbacks. And I just want to end on this one note, and I'll hang up. And this is why I think it's extremely stupid and just lacking context to fire McDermott. Even your most cynical Bills fan, even Matt Verderam and KC, who I enjoy listening to, they are going to tell you they wouldn't be surprised if the Bills won the next 2 Super Bowls. And if you can say that with intellectual honesty, why the heck would you fire McDermott? I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think it's just we've never got we don't have one, and until you actually see him bring it home and make it happen, you're not wrong saying he can't do it. I mean, there is truth in that. Last year was a brutal disappointment, considering how weak Kansas City really was on offense. That game started, and the Bills really looked like they were surprised by what Kansas City was doing.
Agreed.
And that's such familiarity between the opponents. Do the Chiefs seem as though they're surprised by anything the Bills are doing?
No.
Right. So I think a lot of that is fair. I don't assume it's going to change necessarily, but I'm also not in a mood at all to make the change because of the failures. I think it's close to me. It's just not as absolute as he's never going to do it. Like I think I said this a few weeks ago, one day when Mike was away and you weren't here, probably playing golf somewhere. Mm-hmm. In fact, you were playing Pinehurst, I think, mm-hmm. when I got to this. Like, I don't have any trouble at all every year filling the hope tank back up. I've got that freakazoid as my quarterback. Yeah. I'm ready to go play the feud. I don't go into the season going, they can't do it because of McDermott.
So what's the point? Yeah. I'll say this too, and agreeing with everything you just said, especially about Josh, and he's unbelievable. He's the best quarterback in franchise history. It just is that's who he is. There is, to me, though, still a difference between him and Mahomes. Mahomes is every opportunity in the clutch that he could have had. He has made every throw in every situation, and he's got 3 Super Bowls. Is that right? 3? Yeah, so there is a difference still. And it's not to tell you that I think it's an insurmountable difference.
Right.
But the gap is it's Mahomes and then Allen, Jackson, and Burrow. It's and I'm still not convinced that Burrow's even. I think it's still kind of a big 3, not a big 4, but it's a separate conversation. So there is, while acknowledging how good Allen has been, there is still a gap between the two because Mahomes has done it, and he's done it when you feel like there's no way anybody could do it. He's done it. So until then, there is a gap, and I think that gap has, in years, been the difference, frankly.
Joe is next up. Hi, Joe. Thanks for calling. You're on WGR.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Great.
I'm surprised. Like this many callers later, people are still talking about this. I really thought I hope I'm the last one for your guys' sake.
Oh, dude, it's totally fine. Are you kidding me? I love this. I mean,
I don't even think he's kidding either, Joe. I was kind of waiting for him to have like a little snarky eyebrow. No,
this is great. Anyway, go ahead, Joe.
I normally don't think about it every day. I only wanted to call in because there were so many people talking about it, and I was listening to people's horrible takes on it. I had to say something. All right, the last guy that just called, saying the fans are too negative, that's all well and nice, but he must forget the part where we give up over 30 points a game to the Chiefs in the playoffs. If you could, I saw on one of the Twitter stat pages, we are by far the worst defense Kansas City plays every year in the playoffs. There's a 10 points per game difference between us and everybody else. And there are 2 years there where for in playoff losses. I'll give them a break for the Bengals thing because of a lot of injuries. And everyone says that the team was just drained from the DeMar Hamlin thing.
I definitely believe that, but yeah.
And then the year after that, the injuries were worse, honestly, I would say. So I could give them a pass for that. But, I mean, like, last year was inexcusable. I don't know how the Chiefs won 15 games. They were terrible last year. They had no business putting up 32 points on us. And after that game before the Super Bowl, I really thought, like, wow, moving Joe Tooney to left guard or left tackle solved all that team's problems. And then I watched the Super Bowl, and I'm like, oh no, that offensive line's terrible. Our defensive line is just worse. It's inexcusable. I go into the season every year thinking they could get it done, but I don't trust the defense. I'll never trust the defense until they get it done against the Chiefs. I don't get how, like, they make the Ravens look like the 2 times we played the Ravens, we've held them way below their season average, but, like, you can't stop the Chiefs. I don't understand. And, like, I understand how great they are. Like, they're a great dynasty. But
you'd think you'd get them once, right? You'd expect to get them once. Yeah, I hear you. Joe, thanks for the call. I appreciate you holding on as long as you did. We got to scoot, but appreciate it all a great deal. 803-0550 is the number. Nate is in for Mike. I am the Bulldog. Thanks for listening to us here at WGR. Hanging here on a Thursday on WGR. Glad to have you along for the ride with us. Nate Geary is in for Mike. I am the Bulldog. Joe, it turns out, was not the final word from the phone callers today. We got lots of time here. 803-0550 is the number. Lou is up next. Hi, Lou. Thanks for calling. You're on WGR.
Hey, guys. Yes, Bulldog, you'd be thrilled. I am still going to talk about Sean McDermott. I preach patience, I guess. People don't really think about, he's a first-year head coach, and how many coaches, struggled to gain traction for years. Everybody knows Belichick flared out in Cleveland, and then I was looking up, Andy Reid, how many years did it take him to make his first Super Bowl?
Well, he had 4 chances in the NFC title game in Philadelphia, and eventually... so be careful who you want to bring up here, because in this context, there's a comparison to McDermott, but it ends up, he goes to his second stop and wins finally. He gets Mahomes, and that works out. But he was hitting his head against the ceiling, not being able to get to the Super Bowl with those Eagles teams until there were, a couple of bad seasons and one really bad season, and he got fired.
Yeah, because it took him 6 years to get to his first Super Bowl outside. And, McDermott has made 2 conference championships. And then 21 years to win his first Super Bowl coaching. That's a pretty long time. People think of Andy Reid as being a good coach. It took him 21 years to win his first Super Bowl coaching. That's 13 more years of Sean McDermott. When you think about it in that context, he's still pretty young.
Sure, but again, it's not all in the same place, right? It's just it is. There is usually, if you don't get home in some amount of time, that there's going to be change. And it requires ownership to get itchy, and or some sort of working relationship conflict. And none of that, as far as I know, exists at all. Conflict-wise, and certainly ownership. And, I would go so far. Maybe the thing I feel, Lou and Nate, maybe the most sort of the worst point I can make in defense of keeping McDermott in the face of this, sort of somewhat mounting criticism and the playoff failures, not being able to get to the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl, is I look at the hockey team and I'm honestly, legitimately, I don't want to overstate this, but I think legitimately terrified of Terry Pegula hiring another head coach. Because I just don't know what's going to happen. I think, I went on a big speech that might have even spawned this whole conversation for the last hour and a half or so about discrediting Beane and McDermott for choosing Allen and washing it all away to luck. I think maybe a better critique is to look at the owner and look at the choices that he's made with guidance, some help. It's not like I don't think he's the only one making the decision, but Rex Ryan, not so great.
No.
Look at the Sabres, and it's a murderer's row of people that got hired and got fired within 2 years. I think I'd be worried about him choosing another coach, and that's not a good reason to keep going with your head coach. But I got to admit that it's there for me. It makes me a little uneasy. So, thank you for the call, Lou. Nate, let's keep her going here. We've got more football on the way with people coming up. Sal Capaccio is straight ahead. The rundown on the final day of Rochester training camp. Anyway, we'll get the lowdown from Sal on all of that. So do stay tuned. That's coming up right after this on WGR.